Chapter 1778. She Ancient Emperor Jade. It should be useless. This requires sincerity. If you have other intentions, I'm afraid it won't work. People can't betray me. She Ancient Emperor Jade. Have you tried it? She Ancient Emperor Jade. No. It's mainly because I feel embarrassed. After all, we have said that before. But Fan Yi, I thought of the sacrifice you mentioned earlier. There's nothing good in Brother 10,000 Years World that can catch the Ancestor God's eye, but I have it here. So, I intend to use the sacrifice method to see if I can summon the Ancestor God. Fan Yi, damn, I forgot. Your world is a fantasy world. I heard your name. She Ancient Emperor Jade. This is probably some kind of treasure, right? She Ancient Emperor Jade. Yes, it's a key. It contains the secret of the strongest person in our world. Fan Yi, that's a pity. Our world is helpless. JPG, I think it might be something like a nuclear bomb. The Ancestor God might be interested in it, but I don't have access to it. Yeoman Pawn Shop's worker. Speaking of valuable items, I have a piece of jade too. That mysterious person told me that this piece is the key to saving the world. He said that if two pieces are combined, a huge wish can be fulfilled. This thing should be very valuable, right? I wonder if the Ancestor God is interested in it. No one in the world can betray me. Why don't you just try? The Ancestor God was able to bestow such a great favor just because of Brother 10,000 Years' sincere prayers. I guess God isn't a petty person. The Ancestor God might not take our previous doubts and doubts to heart, but we have to show our sincerity. At this moment, the Ancestor God came online. Fan Yi, Ancestor God, please forgive me for my previous doubts. Knowledge, JPG. Yeoman Pawn Shop's worker. Ancestor God, we were wrong. Please forgive us. I have already memorized every word of the great Tao God summoning chapter. Is it still effective? She Ancient Emperor Jade. Ancestor God, hello. My words were inappropriate just now. I hope you don't blame me. Scared. JPG. People can't betray me. God, what do you like? Boss Chow was the most direct. Wang Feng was slightly stunned. What is this situation? These guys, weren't they? He flipped through the chat group's message records and suddenly laughed. Ying Zheng was really something. He did not expect Ying Zheng to share everything that happened in the chat group. This resulted in the current situation. But the Ancestral God. Everyone, if you are sincere, then it will happen. The promises made by the gods will never change and will never be extinguished. After saying this, Wang Feng went offline. As an Ancestor God, there was no need for him to say much. All he had to do was maintain a mysterious image. Speaking of which, these guys were really overthinking things. What did he mean when he said that he was going to take the entrance exam for Ying Zheng? I need to be a priest for myself, and so on. Wang Feng had never thought about it. Wang Feng thought to himself, the Spirit Chi revival is right, but not completely right. Indeed, he had crushed a star and then converted the energy in it to Ying Zheng's world, giving it the power of the galaxy. Moreover, the experience that formed the Milky Way also contained special light particles. Once it was absorbed by the people in Ying Zheng's world, it would trigger a special ability and awaken an even stronger power. Therefore, it was called the power of the stars. However, it was different from the recovery of spiritual power. That power was ineffective against the fiendish demons. It was only targeted at all the life forms in that world. Otherwise, if it was strengthened, those demons would also absorb and strengthen, and Ying Zheng would have no fun. You said it was a test. Wang Feng stroked his chin. Ying Zheng was an emperor for all eternity. Although he might not be the same Ying Zheng from Earth's history and might just be the first emperor of a parallel universe, his aptitude was still there. It's not really a test. However, those demons have a special origin. Wang Feng arrived in Ying Zheng's world and naturally knew everything with a thought. That world had no secrets to him. After all, it was just a low-level life plane. The appearance of those demons might have something to do with the universe hunt of the god system. It was probably a world that was affected. It was just that Ying Zheng's world was too weak and its level was too low. The gods of the god system universe look down on it all. The gods and systems of the god system universe only care about immediate benefits. This is understandable. The universe is endless, and the world is endless. There is no need to waste time on a low-level world. Wang Feng sighed. But in fact, no matter how low-level a world is, as long as it is given a slight chance, it can soar to the sky. When it evolves and grows, the power of faith they produce will be very stable and considerable. Of course, it would take a certain amount of time. This method of slowly cultivating a world, upgrading it, and then harvesting the power of faith. In fact, it had happened in the history of the God System universe. However, the improvement was too slow and the cost was too high. The cultivation world took too much time, and it was slowly eliminated, because cultivating a world also required the divine power of faith. However, now this chaos green lotus has a powerful effect of amplifying the power of faith. In addition, I don't directly give them the divine power of faith. I also change their world in other ways. The cost for me is almost nothing. Wang Fengxin said. Yingzhang's side produced a steady stream of power of faith after being amplified by the chaos green lotus. This power of faith could only allow Wang Feng to establish one of the 9 paths of reincarnation. The 8 paths of reincarnation would also be very fast. Moreover, Yingzhang, the son of destiny, and the power of faith produced by the ancient emperors, had allowed an extremely special human emperor to be born in the first batch of postnatal human spirits. He had reached the level of a sacred clan in the God System universe. Once he grew up, it was hard to imagine how important a role he would play in the ancestral realm. Now, we just need to continue to wait, Wang Fengxin said. At the same time, the great Qin world, Li Si, give the order. In 3 days, immediately hold a national sacrifice. Yingzhang waved his sleeve and said, at the same time, let them develop a preliminary cultivation plan for the power of stars and promote it on a small scale. Once it's feasible, immediately promote it throughout the country. Take out all the cultivation methods and so on that the 100 schools of philosophers have kept in the past and study them. Li Si was stunned and hurriedly said, Your Majesty, those things of the 100 schools of philosophers, when you established the empire, you said that those things were too dangerous and were all fallacies. You seem to have burned most of them. Only a few are left. I burned them. Yingzhang was stunned. He turned around a little embarrassedly and said, Didn't you keep some of them? It's okay. The power of stars bestowed by the ancestral god is very special. The cultivation methods of the 100 schools of philosophers might not work. It's better for us to study it ourselves. We're already studying it. As for the priests, Li Si hesitated for a moment. Facing the priests of the ancestral god, what do we need the priests for? End of chapter. Chapter 1779. According to the ancestral system, the offerings should be mainly food. Li Si pondered and said, 3 animals and 6 beasts, supplemented by jade and silk. But these things are too ordinary for a god. Even if it's just to express our sincerity, it's too. Li Si didn't know how to describe it. He really couldn't imagine sacrificing these mortal items to a god. However, since the ancestor god has bestowed us with such kindness, I don't think he'll be interested in our offerings. Li Si shook his head and said, It's enough to express our sincerity. I believe that the ancestor god can sense our sincerity. Yingzhang didn't say anything. Li Si waited quietly. He knew that this emperor might already have an idea. What do you think if we use humans as offerings? Yingzhang suddenly asked. Humans? Li Si was stunned. He was shocked, but also understood. In the ancestral system, there were such situations, and there were quite a few of them. Back then, when the various countries were in chaos, there were many examples of offering humans as offerings to gods. There were also virgin boys and girls, etc. However, such practices had been abandoned in the Great Qin Empire. Moreover, human sacrifice was too cruel and went against human ethics. However, the reason why human sacrifice was criticized back then was because there were no real gods. This If we use humans as offerings in the name of serving the gods, it's still appropriate. Li Si looked at the silver river hanging in the sky through the window of the palace. The name of the ancestor god had spread throughout the empire. The changes brought about by the mysterious Milky Way were too great and too mysterious. The majestic figure that could be seen by the entire Xianyang city that day was imprinted in everyone's mind. Your Majesty, I think that if we want to offer sacrifices to the ancestor god, why don't we choose blood sacrifice? At this moment, a steady voice sounded. Wang Jian strode over. His steady voice echoed in Ying Zheng and Li Si's ears like an ancient bell. Blood sacrifice? Ying Zheng's eyes flashed. You mean to sacrifice those demons to the ancestor god? That's right. Wang Jian said slowly. The ancestor god sent down such a great power to give Great Qin a chance of survival. The ancestor god said that he knows the world and knows what's going on in this world. However, the magical beasts are Great Qin's enemies, and we need to personally defeat and kill them. Your Majesty, Meng Tian wants to lead a group of soldiers out of the Great Wall, capture fiendish demons, and sacrifice their blood to the ancestor god. Let's show Great Qin's might and not let down the power bestowed by the ancestor god. Ying Zheng nodded slightly and said, but it's only been a few days. Can you defeat the demons? Wang Jian laughed. Your Majesty, those demons have invaded the Xiongnu people of the north. Each of them possesses inhuman strength. Our Great Qin soldiers are made of flesh and blood. Naturally, they're no match for them. But now, although we have yet to fully study the power of the stars in the sky, our strength has indeed increased greatly. With the elite warriors of the Great Qin Empire, all of them have already transcended the body of flesh and blood. They are absolutely capable of fighting against those demons. Your Majesty, your strength has improved tremendously. I'm sure you know this better than us. Ying Zheng closed his eyes and pondered for a brief moment. Then, he waved his sleeves and said, we'll do as you say. As soon as Ying Zheng finished speaking, the soldiers of the Great Qin Empire who had obtained the power of the stars were led by the brave and skilled General Meng Tian. Like arrows of hope, they shot out of Xianyang city and rushed to the passes of the Great Wall that were already in ruins. In fact, there were already many scattered demons outside Xianyang city who had broken through the Great Wall's defensive line. These demons were huge in size and different in shape. Their bodies were tainted with wisps of black gas, and their eyes were red. There was no killing intent in their eyes. There was only coldness and silence. They were like machines that carried out their tasks meticulously. They were not something that mortals could compare with. Even though the Great Qin Empire had qi cultivators and martial artists, they were still made of flesh and blood. They were no match for these special demons. Ying Zheng stood at a corner of the Great Wall and looked coldly at the endless stream of demons below the Great Wall. The fiendish demons looked like ants. It was a horrifying sight. Most of the passes of the Great Wall had been lost. The pass that Ying Zheng was the one closest to Xianyang city. If this pass was lost, it meant that the demons could directly invade Xianyang city and take over the entire territory of the Great Qin Empire. There was a strong smell of blood and rotting corpses in the air. Can General Meng Tian and the others defeat these demons? Li Si followed behind Ying Zheng. As a civil official, he did not have to come. However, this was the first time that the Great Qin Empire's soldiers fought against the demons after obtaining the power of the stars. The outcome of this battle was very important. The power of the stars from the Milky Way in the sky was indeed powerful. However, Li Si was not sure what kind of combat strength it could bring. After all, those demons were too strong. Ying Zheng's eyes were calm. He did not have Li Si's worries. If we only defeat them, Ying Zheng said calmly, that is not what the ancestor god wants to see. As soon as he finished speaking, several dazzling figures flew out of the Great Wall. The figures were like unparalleled gods of war. They rode on blood-red war horses in the sky. It was as if they could cross the entire Great Wall with a light leap. They glided down from a height of dozens of meters. The leader was a burly man with big arms and thick shoulders. He held a long spear in his hand and exuded a powerful aura. Even the long spear was surrounded by a several-meter-long energy. With a light leap, he could reach a height of more than 100 meters. The long spear swept across, and the energy was like a sharp knife, cutting the demons with steel-like bodies into two. Li Si, who was on the Great Wall, gasped when he saw this. So strong. Li Si was stunned. The power of the stars has the most obvious effect on Meng Tian and the other generals. Ying Zheng's eyes shone brightly. You are a civil official. Perhaps the changes are not obvious to you. However, Li Si, your current strength is even greater than Wang Jian's. I haven't tested it yet. Li Si's mouth twitched. With the recovery of spiritual energy, the strong will naturally break through the upper limit and reach a higher level. In fact, that's not all. The power of the stars has changed the Great Qin Empire in many ways. We will soon feel it. Li Si nodded. Although he did not know what His Majesty meant by the recovery of spiritual energy, it should have something to do with the power of the stars. What followed was a massacre. Li Si was very excited. Ever since those demons appeared, the Great Qin Empire had not won a single battle. It was difficult to even kill those demons. Now, the demons were being massacred by the soldiers of the Empire like the autumn wind sweeping away fallen leaves. Even though Li Si was just a civil official, his blood was boiling. He wanted to go down and give it a try himself. Dusk fell. The setting sun was as red as blood. The demons retreated, leaving behind countless rivers of blood that gathered below the Great Wall. We can start the ritual now. A smile appeared on Ying Zheng's face. Chapter 1780. Wang Feng was currently in the ancestral realm. The first batch of human spirits to enter the cycle of human Dao had been reincarnated. As the first batch of human spirits to be reincarnated, it was very special to descend on the ancestral realm, because Wang Feng needed to make bodies for them. There were no living beings in the ancestral realm, so reproduction was impossible. It was like Goddess Nuwa, who had created humans out of clay. However, it was different for Wang Feng. As the first batch of human spirits, I naturally can't do as I please. The ancestral realm had just been born, so there weren't many treasures, but there weren't few either. After all, it hadn't been developed or nurtured. It wasn't the primitive world it once was, and there were countless connate spirit treasures and rare materials. The ancestral realm was just a seed. A human body is made of flesh and blood. Wang Feng pondered for a moment. As a connate creature of the ancestral realm, I need special blood and bodies to accommodate this batch of human spirits. A body isn't too bad. Humans don't need a strong body. Yin Mingyao thought seriously. But blood is very important. Master can't use your own blood. Wang Feng glared at her. Nonsense. How strong was his blood? How could a human bear it? If he used his blood, then it would be even more difficult to find a body that could bear his blood. His current physical body was a supreme, divine body condensed from the power of faith. It was also a body formed by the will of the heavenly embryo. It had been tempered by karmic fire and cultivated for 10,000 years by the life essence. The life essence had already exploded. None of these bodies could be duplicated. Even if his blood was diluted tens of thousands of times, it still wouldn't work. Moreover, as the master of the divine realm, he couldn't give away the blood of a god casually. I can use the living soil of the ancestral realm to create a body. It'll be enough to accommodate these human spirits. Wang Feng tapped with his fingertip and took countless pieces of living soil from the void. With a gentle wave of his hand, the living soil, exuding a pure and heavy energy aura, turned into fleshly bodies. What about blood? Yin Mingyao asked. Why don't we use the spring water from another place? Although the quality of these connate spirits might be a bit lower after they're formed, humans have endless possibilities. In the divine realm, nurturing post-celestial life forms was extremely crucial. The strength of a postnatal living being, the soul, the fleshly body, and the blood, combined to form a living being, were the minions of the gods. Needless to say, those souls were extremely powerful. His physical body wasn't bad either, so his blood wasn't bad either. Blood, Wang Feng did not want to settle for second best. At this moment, he was deep in thought. Wang Feng suddenly felt a strong calling. Was it Ying Zheng calling him again? What? Don't tell me that with the power of the stars, they can't defeat those demons? Isn't that too bad? Wang Fengxian was really puzzled. Then, he felt his mind begin to beat rhythmically. A strong and powerful blood energy, accompanied by the power of faith, kept coming from the world where Ying Zheng was. Blood sacrifice? Ying Zheng is worshipping me and using blood as a sacrifice? Wang Feng was stunned. Moreover, it seemed that he had used the blood of those demons. Not bad. At this moment, Xianyang City, outside the newly built ancestral god palace. The strong blood energy of the demons spread throughout the palace. All the officials, including Ying Zheng, were kneeling outside the palace. Not only them, but the people of Great Qin outside the palace and in Xianyang City were also kneeling. They had returned victorious and carried out a blood sacrifice. Naturally, this made the people of Great Qin very excited. Ying Zheng stood in the center. The altar in the center wasn't simple. It was the blood of thousands of demons that were killed and sacrificed to the ancestral god. It showed Great Qin's sincerity and determination. Apart from that, there were also 3 animals and 6 animals used for the sacrifice, as well as some ritual tools. However, Ying Zheng was a little nervous. He didn't know if the ancestral god would descend or if he would take a fancy to these sacrifices. Just as Ying Zheng was feeling nervous, at this moment, a light figure suddenly appeared, and a divine aura came from the palace. The sacrifice is meritorious. Good. I hope all of you will continue to work hard. The moment the voice finished, the Hong divine voice made everyone's heart tremble. Ying Zheng was overjoyed. It seemed that he didn't disappoint the ancestral god. Meritorious service deserves a reward. The majestic voice sounded again. The blood of countless demons in the center of the altar flew into the light figure like a flowing river. At the same time, a divine light sprinkled down from the sky. In an instant, the 3 beasts and 6 beasts that were illuminated by this divine light underwent drastic changes at this moment. The slaughtered animals immediately came to life. Their bodies shone brightly and emitted different divine cries. At the same time, the ritual tools also began to merge and mutate. Finally, they formed a golden robe. The 3 animals and 6 animals. No, it seemed that they were no longer the 3 animals and 6 animals. They were more like divine beasts descending. They emitted colorful lights in the sky, and their divine aura was awe-inspiring. In the next moment, they crashed into the robe and turned into divine statues. Bestow the 3 saints and 6 venerables dragon robe. The robe emitted a peerless aura, like a divine artifact that surpassed the heavens. It landed beside Ying Zheng. Ying Zheng stared at the robe with his hands trembling slightly. He didn't know what this dragon robe was used for, but it looked extraordinary. He was too embarrassed to ask the ancestor god directly. He must ask more of the group members later. This divine artifact given by the ancestor god must have an extremely powerful effect. Ancestral realm. I was just talking about the blood. I didn't expect Ying Zheng to send it over. Wang Fengxian was delighted. The blood of these demons was extraordinary. These demons are not native creatures of the Great Qin world. They are a species from another world. Wang Feng sensed it immediately. It's the aura of a god. Yin Mengyao said, the blood of these demons is mixed with the aura of a god. They should be a descendant of a weaker god from the divine system universe. They should be a descendant that is being nurtured. These descendant races are allowed to come to the small world and be forged with blood and killing. Master, you want this blood? But I don't think it's suitable, Yin Mengyao said. The blood of other gods' descendants was not of high quality. They were not even desolate species descendants. However, the human spirits of the first batch of humans all had the potential to become desolate species descendants. The Emperor's spirit even had the potential to become a divine creature's descendant. Wouldn't it be too lousy to use this kind of blood? No. Wang Feng smiled. It's not suitable. but this blood is mixed with the power of faith of Ying Zheng and the others. So, I only need to transfer this blood into the chaotic green lotus. This blood will definitely be strengthened with the power of faith. After saying that, Wang Feng did not hesitate to transfer the demon blood that Ying Zheng had offered to him into the chaotic green lotus. As expected, the chaotic green lotus flashed with green light. When the blood appeared again, each drop emitted a pure, strong, and clear aura. Yin Mingyao immediately took a deep breath. This blood has been strengthened to such an extent. The first batch of postnatal humans created in this way must be very powerful. They are beyond the level of desolate species. I can't imagine how strong they will be in the future. Chapter 1781. Master this blood. Yin Mingyao's eyes widened when she saw the blood. The ancestral realm's heavenly Tao. She could clearly feel how powerful the aura contained in the blood was. No, it wasn't powerful. Instead, it was a pure and holy aura. Wang Feng's eyes flickered. It was as he had imagined. The blood had been amplified by the power of faith. Even from a direct point of view, the amplified blood was very powerful. It wasn't inferior to the blood of the gods of the Douluo divine world and the demon gods of the dark demon world. Of course, blood wasn't the only standard to measure an expert, but it was the basic element. Soul, body, blood, all three. I wonder how big of a change there will be when the first batch of human spirits are born the day after tomorrow. Wang Fengxin was looking forward to it. Without saying a word, Wang Feng directly injected the blood into the fleshly bodies made of living earth. In an instant, a surging sense of power surged out of the bodies like a raging wave. Yin Mingyao, activate the human Tao reincarnation. Wang Feng ordered. Okay. Yin Mingyao immediately replied. Wang Feng could only let her control the reincarnation of the ancestral realm's heavenly Tao for now. In the underworld realm, the moment the human Tao reincarnation began to operate, the first batch of void souls began to reincarnate. Wang Feng waited quietly. In just a moment, these dozens of bodies began to undergo real changes. Like the beginning of a baby, each body that emitted a majestic aura began to open their eyes. In an instant, there was a moment of haziness. But in the blink of an eye, they seemed to have realized something. Wang Feng stood in midair and looked at them quietly. Their souls and bodies were all created by him. Their blood wasn't considered, but it was also infused with the power of faith after using the Chaos Green Lotus to amplify and purify the demon blood. In a sense, they were his direct subjects. They were the most traditional kind of clan tribe in the God System universe. In the history of the God System universe, at the beginning, the clans of the gods were creatures created by themselves. It didn't include the clans that were modified by collecting faith from other worlds and leaving behind divine imprints. Later, because this method of clans grew too slowly and didn't conform to the development of the God System universe, they were eliminated. Now, most of the clans of the gods in the God System universe were modified using divine imprints. Father, amidst the confusion of the dozens of human spirits, one of them was the most special. He directly shouted towards the direction where Wang Feng was. They were born with the ability to speak, possessing powerful intelligence and extraordinary spiritual wisdom. As this human shouted, his body seemed to be emitting endless charm and radiance. The other humans followed suit and shouted. There was a strange look in Wang Feng's eyes. The voices of these humans were not in any language, but they were the embryonic form of a language. And the human spirit in the lead was the creator. This is the ancestral realm. I created you in the hopes that you can bring glory to the human race in this realm. Wang Feng used his divine will to inform them, injecting it into their souls so that they could understand what he meant. After saying that, Wang Feng disappeared. Together with Yan Mingyao, they went up to the clouds and observed the situation of the human spirits. Master, their talents are extremely strong, but they have yet to develop and utilize them. I'm afraid that it will take a very long time. Yin Mingyao pondered, but then her tone changed. But one of them is very special. His soul contains a special power of faith. He has the bearing of the human emperor. Perhaps he will lead the human race to grow quickly. Next, which path of reincarnation do you intend to open? Wang Feng did not say anything. He planned to observe the development of these humans for a period of time. Let's take a look at the chat group first. Speaking of which, it seems that someone is calling this god again. In the chat group, borrowing 10,000 years from the heavens. Everyone, thank you. The matter has been perfectly resolved. To she ancient Emperor Jade. Big brother, 10,000 years. How did you resolve it? Can you tell us? With Ying Zheng's appearance, the group members who were still lurking in the chat group immediately became active. Fan Yi. For you to say the word perfect, could it be that the ancestor god has descended again? Borrowing 10,000 years from the heavens. You guessed right, but it's not easy for me to say. This time, I have also recorded the situation. I can show it to you all. Ying Zheng was not stingy. He was not worried about revealing information about the world he was in. Although these group members came from all over the world, they were all from different worlds. Ying Zheng knew that they were on the same side now. Fan Yi, it seems that you must be very shocked. So shocked that you can't explain it normally. Otherwise, you wouldn't have posted another video? Borrowing 10,000 years from the heavens, to she ancient Emperor Jade, it seems that I was right. Hee. I wonder what it is this time. Yong and pawn shop's waiter. There's something good to watch again. Can you send something that I can understand? Although he felt that the video Ying Zheng posted previously was very powerful, he really couldn't understand it. People can't betray me. Yong and pawn shop's waiter, I heard from you that there's a shoe mountain in your world, right? There are also some immortals. The mysterious person you mentioned previously suddenly appeared in the sky and said that you are the savior of this world. It is obvious that he is an expert who can break through the void. Why can't you understand it? Yong and pawn shop's waiter, Big Brother Chow. I don't know if there are immortals or not, but I'm just an ordinary person. Fan Yi, waiter, don't underestimate yourself. That mysterious person said that you were the savior of this world. Obviously, there were only two possibilities for such a scheme. Either you are the reincarnation of a very powerful expert in your previous life and have the power to fight against calamities, or the other party is playing with you. I am more inclined towards the former. Yong and pawn shop's waiter. After I memorize the great Tao God summoning chapter, I will choose an auspicious day and recite it seriously. At that time, I hope that the ancestor god will descend and clear my doubts. I don't want to be the savior of this world. I just want to earn money. Ding, borrowing 10,000 years from the heavens, uploaded a video. Sacrifice, almost instantly, the others accepted the request to watch it. Ying Zheng remained silent. He had some understanding of the people in this group. Fan Yu was a young man who came from a certain future world. It was hard to say how strong he was, but his vision was very high. As for this waiter, he looked just like an ordinary person. But the world he came from should be extraordinary. To she ancient Emperor Jade was clearly from a special world. He was more amiable, and his words were more gentle. He should be a girl. As for that, people can't betray me. He was clearly an overlord of an empire similar to himself. But the level of the world he came from was also very high. It might even be related to the world he came from. I wonder what the use of my dragon robe is. After they finish watching it, I will ask them. I should be able to get an answer. Ying Zheng thought. He waited quietly. End of this chapter. Chapter 1782. Earth. Yifan first washed his face, then made a pot of Bilyuakan tea. Then, he started watching the video that Ying Zheng uploaded. In fact, Yifan already knew the identity of 10,000 years from the first video. After all, that video was from Ying Zheng's perspective. He could guess who it was. As for the others, Yifan had no idea if he could guess them. Normally, Brother Chow should know because the Eastern Han dynasty he lived in was after the Great Qin dynasty. He should know about Ying Zheng, the emperor with a special identity. However, Brother Chow's world was not the normal Three Kingdoms world. It was a world with extremely high martial strength. Even if it was a parallel universe, history might be different. After the video started, Yifan took a deep breath and watched quietly. Zheng recorded the process from the beginning when Meng Tian led Great Qin soldiers out of the Great Wall to capture the demons. Yi Fan was fascinated by the video. He was interested in ancient culture and history. The more he watched, the more fascinated he was. Those demons are so strong. I thought they were just the Xiongnu people in the north of the Great Qin Empire. Damn it. Are they real demons? These demons look more like the demons in fairy tales or those in the fantasy immortal love world. No wonder the dignified first emperor was so destitute at that time. He even laid on the sickbed in the end. Before he died, he only asked to preserve the human race's bloodline of the Great Qin Empire. Such an ancient world with special cold weapons is completely at a crushing level. Unless it's Brother Chao's Martial 3 Kingdoms world. Yi Fan broke out in cold sweat. Soon, he was shocked to see Meng Tian leading Great Qin soldiers out of the Great Wall. How can they be so strong? Yi Fan murmured, "Is the power of the stars so terrifying? It can make these soldiers of the cold weapon era reach such heights so quickly. It's as if they have broken through the constraints of a feudal civilization and stepped into a higher level of the martial world." With a sweep of Meng Tian's spear, those demons were turned into tofu. The more Yi Fan watched, the more shocked he became. He knew that if a star could be crushed and reconstructed in Zheng's world, it would definitely bring changes to that world. The recovery of spiritual energy. However, the change was too fast. After all, that's the energy of a star. Yi Fan's mouth twitched slightly. He could understand a little. Suppressing the shock in his heart, he slowly looked at it, until he saw the blood sacrifice. Good fellow, I was wondering why he wanted to kill demons. After all, he can restore the prestige of the country. He even wanted to use the blood of demons as a sacrifice to the ancestor god to show that he did not disappoint the ancestor god. What a good idea. In addition to the blood of those demons, there are also 3 animals and 6 animals, as well as ceremonial utensils and jade. These are all standard for ancient sacrifices. There is nothing special. He watched and watched until the ancestor god descended. Yi Fan's eyes widened, and he could not help but blurt out, F***CK? Almost at the same time. In the chat group, the 2 ancient emperors Jade said, the 3 beasts and 6 beasts that were sacrificed directly evolved? I have never seen such a thing. That was just an ordinary animal. How could it suddenly become such a powerful and terrifying mythological beast? I feel that aura is even stronger than the Doshungs here. I'm doubting my life. Aura, it was just aura. It made her feel that the 3 beasts and 6 animals had turned into ferocious beasts that could destroy the world at any moment. The world can't betray me. It is very strong. This should be enlightenment. With a flick of the finger, it can transform ordinary beasts and 6 animals. I feel that I might need to mobilize at least tens of thousands of strong soldiers and dozens of good generals before I can barely deal with it. Compared to the 10,000 years ago, even if your soldiers have become stronger, they might not be as strong as the 3 beasts and 6 animals. It was just a polite remark. Actually, he wanted to say that it was far from being as strong as the 3 beasts, Yong and pawn shop assistant, scared. However, I'm more interested in the dragon robe at the back. That thing should be very valuable, right? Look at the video. It was bestowed by the ancestor god himself. Fan Yi, valuable? That is not something that can be measured with money. More accurately, it was not bestowed by the ancestor god. Instead, the ancestor god directly transformed those 3 beasts and 6 animals on the spot, as well as those ceremonial items, jade and silk, fusing them together and transforming them. Didn't you see those evolved beasts turning into totems and fusing into the dragon robe? Yong and pawn shop assistant. That is too exaggerated. Forgive me for not noticing it. I have embarrassed our group. 2 ancient emperors jade. Borrow from the heavens for another 10,000 years. That dragon robe is a peerless treasure. Big brother, 10,000 years. You are rich. It might be more valuable than everything in your world combined. The world can't betray me. Let's not talk about your world. Even if we combine everything in our world, we should be able to make do with it. Ing Zhang's face was filled with pride. However, his expression did not change as he said, "Is that so? Sigh. It is a pity that I can't use it. I don't know what use it has. After all, I have a lot of dragon robes. Fanyi, big brother, your tone makes me very unhappy. Yeoman pawn shop assistant. Envy. JPG. 2. She ancient emperor's jade. Hee. I think I know what use it has. Borrow from the heavens for another 10,000 years. If you don't know what use it has, you can lend it to someone who needs it first. For example, I can help you test out what use this dragon robe has. Brother, 10,000 years. What do you think? Lemon. JPG. Borrow from the heavens for another 10,000 years. Cough, cough, forget it. Actually, I just want to ask everyone what use this dragon robe has. The level of your world is higher. You should know more about it than me. Fanyi. Although the level of my world is not high, I think that this dragon robe has the 3 beasts and 6 beasts, as well as ceremonial utensils. They represent life and culture. To a country, this is the foundation. Therefore, this thing should be able to suppress the fate of a country. The world can't betray me. Be more confident. Remove the word should. Not only can it suppress the fate of a country, as long as you wear it, it can even allow your country to prosper for eternity. After wearing it for a long time, you might even be able to awaken the 3 beasts and 6 beast totems on the dragon robe and summon them out for battle. That would be even more terrifying. Just this dragon robe alone, not to mention suppressing the fate of a country, just the strategic significance is already comparable to half of my army's strength. No, I'm too jealous. I'm going offline first. If I take another look at it, I can't help but want to get this dragon robe. After saying that, he really went offline. Borrow from the heavens for another 10,000 years. Shock. JPG. So powerful? Fanyi. Brother, 10,000 years. I seriously suspect that you are here to show off. No, I have to think of a way to let the ancestor god notice me. Yeoman pawn shop's employee. That's too difficult. We're just ordinary people. Even if we pray sincerely, my wish is only to earn money. I reckon that even the ancestor god wouldn't care about this little wish of mine. Should I change my goal and set it further? 2. She ancient emperor's jade. Being able to have this realization proves that you have already grown up. So, how do you intend to change your goal? Yeoman pawn shop's employee. To become the richest person in the world. What do you think? 2. She ancient emperor's jade. Fanyi. Big brother. Why do you only have money in your eyes? Why don't you be more realistic? For example, didn't that mysterious person say that there's a great calamity in your world? Let the ancestor god bestow you with power so that you can quickly eliminate that great calamity. Don't you think it's better to become the savior of the world and become an expert? Yeoman pawn shop's employee, no. Fanyi, this child can't be taught. 2. She ancient emperor's jade. I have also thought of what I should do. I'm going offline too. At this moment, Wang Feng came to the chat group. When he saw this sentence, he was slightly stunned. This child should be from the Battle Chi continent. P.S. Everyone, Happy New Year. Chapter 1783. Do Chi continent, Wutan city, Shao clan, Back mountain. Shao Sun Air's face was slightly red. She was very excited. Ancestral god. If I can get the attention of the ancestral god, I should be able to solve Shao Yin Gija's training problem. Shao Sun Air was very excited. From the video, the ancestral god was almost omnipotent. Crushing a star could easily change the situation of the world. This kind of power was beyond her imagination. Shao Yan's training problem, to the ancestral god, would be a piece of cake. Thinking of this, Shao Sun Air sighed. Unfortunately, it would be very difficult to get the attention of the ancestral god. If Xiang Tian borrowed another 10,000 years, he would be the emperor of the human world. He would be able to summon the ancestral god by chanting the Tao God summoning chapter. But with her identity, would chanting the Tao God summoning chapter be effective? Thinking of this, Shao Sun Air was a little nervous. Let's try it out. Xiao Sun Air took a deep breath. Actually, she had already memorized the Tao God summoning chapter, but she was still a little afraid. Afraid that she would fail. Xiao Sun Air closed her eyes and started chanting. At this time, a young man came from afar. Sun Air, what are you doing? The young man asked from afar. Xiao Sun Air opened her eyes. Seeing the young man, she hesitantly shook her head and smiled. Nothing, Xiao Yin Gij. Why are you here? She didn't want to tell him about the ancestral god. Nothing, I'm just taking a walk in the back mountain. The young man walked over and forced a smile. Xiao Sun Air was silent. She knew that in a few days, it would be time to test his Do Qi. In fact, she didn't need a test to know that Xiao Yan's Do Qi didn't increase at all. Instead, it was regressing. After thinking for a while, Xiao Sun Air asked, Xiao Yin Gij, do you believe in an omnipotent god? The young man turned his head and looked at Xiao Sun Air with a strange face. Sun Air, why are you asking this? God? The young man looked at the sky. Is there really a god in this world? As a transmigrator, Xiao Yin received education from his previous life. He didn't think there was a god. Even after coming to this continent, Xiao Yin didn't think there was a god. Even if there was a god, it was just a stronger human. Omnipotent, Xiao Yin laughed involuntarily. Seeing Xiao Yan smile, Xiao Sun Air frowned and didn't say anything else. Xiao Yin seemed to have sensed something and said in a deep voice, Sun Air, don't tell me you've met some swindler? You don't have to worry about me. My Do Qi, I can handle it myself. Don't be deceived by others just because of this little problem of mine. In the entire Xiao clan, other than his father, he had the best relationship with Sun Air. At this moment, hearing Sun Air's words, Xiao Yan's sharp mind naturally realized that Sun Air might have believed in some swindlers because of her own training. Xiao Sun Air paused and sighed. Xiao Yan Ji is too alert. He noticed it in an instant. Not a scammer, Xiao Sun said seriously. It's a real god. Xiao Yan Ji, perhaps I have found a way to help you train again. Since Xiao Yan Ji had already noticed, Xiao Sun Air didn't plan to hide it anymore. Hearing this, Xiao Yan did not smile. He only coldly laughed. Is that so? Then, did that swindler have any requests? What price do you or I have to pay? We don't have much money. It's free. Xiao Sun Air shook her head. We don't have to pay anything. Xiao Yan's face changed. He looked at Xiao Sun Air and sighed. Sun Air, are you stupid? How can there be such a good thing in this world? My father has asked countless people to look at my training problems. Which one of them is free? There's no such thing as a free lunch. You must be plotting something. Sun Air, don't be stupid. Xiao Sun Air thought about it and felt that Xiao Yan Ji's words made sense. But it's not that we don't have to pay anything. Xiao Sun Air thought for a while. For a god, isn't money very tacky? All right, you told me some stories when we were young. You said that the gods in the heavens would build temples in the mortal world. Mortals would offer incense to the gods in the temples and pray for their wishes. The gods in the heavens, after receiving the incense, would protect the mortals and fulfill their wishes. Xiao Yan opened his mouth. These are all legends from Earth. How can you take them seriously? Plus, this is the Do Qi continent. Where did the gods and the heavens come from? Even though he didn't know what the strongest people on the continent were like, even if they were weaker than the gods and the legends, they shouldn't be that much weaker. They aren't even from the same world. How can they be compared? Xiao Yan knew that Xiao Sun Air was obsessed. The heavens are the heavens. The mortal world is the mortal world. Those are just stories. Plus, there's no such god in this world. Xiao Yan explained, if you really want to talk about gods, then the legendary Do Di might be a god. No. Xiao Sun Air shook her head. I don't know how strong a Do Di is, but that god is definitely much stronger than a Do Di. To us, he's the god in your stories. Xiao Yan was silent. That scammer seems to have some skills. No, I can't let Sun Air fool me like this. He thought to himself, Sun Air, don't worry about it. Also, don't talk about gods, I won't believe it. Xiao Yan said, as long as he doesn't accept it, Sun Air will be fooled. Xiao Yan Ji, Xiao Sun Air was helpless. Originally, she wanted to wait until she finished chanting and see if the ancestor god would descend. That's for later. Now that Xiao Yin Jiji doesn't believe it, if the ancestor god knows, he won't give Xiao Yin Jiji any grace, let alone help him. He isn't even devout. Why would the ancestor god help him? What's the use of being devout? Xiao Sun Air was troubled. Originally, she had already planned it out. Looks like I need to wait for a few more days. Xiao Sun Air thought. Just like that, Xiao Sun Air could only hide in the chat group until she saw the second video of borrow 10,000 years from the heavens. Xiao Sun Air was tempted again. With a flick of his finger, he can turn an ordinary animal into a divine beast. He can turn a ceremonial item into a dragon robe. To Xiao Yin Jiji, helping him to cultivate again is just a matter of blowing air. Xiao Sun Air's heart was beating fast. The Douqi test is coming. This can't be delayed. With Xiao Yin Jiji's talent, as long as he can cultivate again, it won't be hard for him to catch up. Thus, Xiao Sun Air found Xiao Yin again. Sun Air, don't tell me you want to talk about gods again? Xiao Yin seemed to have expected this. His face showed a confident smile. Sun Air, I really don't need to talk about gods. I can already cultivate. Really, if you don't believe me, take a look. Saying that, Xiao Yin slightly activated his Douqi and punched the tree in front of him. Bang! The tree trembled. Although it was hard to feel the movement of Douqi, Xiao Sun Air could feel that Xiao Yin Jiji has improved. Chapter 1784. Have I really recovered? Xiao Sun Air wondered. That's why I don't need a god. Xiao Yin said confidently. Huh, God? How can there be a god in this world? An old laugh appeared in Xiao Yin's mind. This little girl is so worried about you. She is so easily deceived. Yao Lao, I think you are a god. Xiao Yin replied with a smile. I'm not a god. I have said that I was not even a Do Di when I was alive. How can I be a god? Moreover, the problem with your training is not a difficult problem. It is just that I ***, it is only right for me to let you enjoy the good times. Yao Lao said. Suddenly, Yao Lao frowned. Why do I feel a few special ripples? Your Wu-Tan city doesn't have a Do Huang, right? Do Huang? How can we have someone at that level? Xiao Yin shook his head. Then I might have been mistaken, Yao Lao muttered. However, his voice had just sounded. Suddenly, a pitch-black figure descended from the distance. It landed on the ground right in front of Xiao Sun. It was an old man. The old man was wearing a black robe. His face was ashen and his body was covered in wounds. His eyes had almost collapsed. Your oldling? Xiao Sun Air was shocked. What happened? Why are you like this? The old man in front of her was called Ling Ying. He was a Do Huang. He was a strong person that the clan had arranged to secretly protect her. They rarely appeared or even never appeared. She had not seen them for a few years. She did not expect them to appear in such a manner this time around. Miss, quick, leave the Xiao clan. The old man seemed to be holding his breath as he said weakly, Hun clan. The Hun clan has discovered your location and seems to know something. They are already here. Xiao Sun Air was stunned. Her heart trembled. Hun clan, how could they know where she was? No, even if they knew, how could they attack so quickly? Was it because of the two ancient gods' jade? Moreover, even if they attacked, with old Ling's strength, Xiao Sun Air's eyes shrunk. If the Hun clan had already attacked, then the clan? Sun Air, what is the situation? Xiao Yin hurriedly asked. As he spoke, he touched the ring on his finger. Kid, get out of here quickly. Yao Lao said in a deep voice. I have a bad premonition. Xiao Yin frowned slightly. What the hell was going on? Xiao Yin Jiji, let's quickly leave this place. Xiao Sun Air clenched her fists and looked at Ling Ying. Although her mind was in a mess, she knew that the situation had changed and she had to leave. Where are we going? What's the situation that I don't know? Xiao Yin glanced at the old man. He appeared to be about to die, but his aura was still so strong. Young mistress, the soul race. What the hell? However, right at this moment, several ice-cold voices sounded from all directions. Leave? I'm afraid they can. So they really are hiding here. It seems like my god was right. This should be Xiao Yin, right? And this daughter with the ancient bloodline, Xiao Sun Air. So she was hiding here. Xiao Yin, TSK. How many Duan Douqi are you? Such a piece of trash. Is this guy really the son of destiny that my god is looking for? What a king piece of trash. How could someone like that become the child of destiny? I really don't know how our soul clan was defeated. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. A couple of human figures were suspended in the air around a few of them. Each of them was emitting an extremely powerful aura. Just that frightening pressure alone seemed to be able to shatter everything. This was the first time that Xiao Yan had sensed such a level of pressure. Forget about opening his mouth to speak. At this moment, his entire body was unable to move even a little. Yao Lao, what level are these people? Xiao Yan asked in shock. Yao Lao was silent for a long time before he softly said, They are Do Shangs, the strongest person below a Do Di. Hun clan, it is actually the Hun clan. Yao Lao, what should we do now? Xiao Yan muttered. Close your eyes. Yao Lao said. Xiao Yan asked. Yao Lao, what do you mean? Just wait for death. Yao Lao said. Xiao Yan's heart leaped. The old me was merely a one-star Do Shang when I was alive. Now that there are so many Do Shangs, even I would not have been able to defeat them when I was alive. Moreover, they are from the Hun clan. Yao Lao sighed. Time does not wait for me. Do Shang, Xiao Yan muttered. Damn it. I'm only a 4th level Do Chi, and now a Do Shang has come. What is going on? Xiao Yan's face was dazed as he looked at the few human figures in the sky. At this moment, Xiao Sun Air by the side gently patted Xiao Yan's shoulder and softly said, Xiao Yan GG, don't be afraid. I have a way. Sun Air, don't speak nonsense. No, how did I offend a Do Shang? Xiao Yan's mind was a mess. Xiao Sun Air was silent. She did not know why. The Han clan was actually able to discover them so quickly. Look, these 2 children are still in a daze. A Do Shang in the midair laughed. It is so easy to obtain them. Quickly capture them. Later on, we will also make a trip to the Misty Cloud sect in the Jiama Empire. My god said that there are 2 children of destiny there. However, these 2 are the true masters. As long as we bring these children of destiny back to our god, our Hun clan will be the only overlord of the continent. What 8 ancient clans? What Do Diof? The few Do Shangs laughed coldly. Stop saying nonsense. I will go and capture these 2 fellows. A Do Shang frowned and said. After speaking, he flew toward Xiao Sun Air and Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan GG. Repeat after me. Remember, you must be sincere. Xiao Sun Air quickly said. Whether we can survive or not will depend on this. Good. Xiao Yan was stunned for a couple of seconds before he hurriedly replied. At this moment, he could no longer be bothered about anything else. He vaguely knew that Sun Air might have thought of that god again. However, at this moment, he could only try everything he could. Soon after, Xiao Yan followed Xiao Sun Air and recited the great Tao summoning god chapter. It was very short. There were less than a dozen words. Xiao Sun Air recited it quickly. She did not recite it word by word like she usually did. However, at this moment, her entire mind was calm. There was only one will in her mind, which was to summon the ancestor god. Xiao Yan by the side was unaware of anything. However, he was also reciting it seriously. At this moment, that Do Shang had already approached. The moment the last word was spoken, Yi Zichen's expression changed. In an instant, a divine light suddenly rose from the 2 of them and charged into the clouds. That Do Shang hurriedly stopped. He was extremely stunned as he watched this scene. Following this ray of divine light, an imposing figure of a colossal figure appeared in the sky. It was blurry, but it seemed real at the same time. Eternity, and supreme aura accompanied this colossal shadow, filling every corner of the sky. Xiao Sun Air's heart was beating wildly. The ancestor god had appeared. How was this possible? When she was reciting it, she was reciting it too quickly. She even made a few mistakes compared to the usual times. However, the ancestor god had actually descended. The first time she recited it seriously, she succeeded. What is that? Xiao Yan opened his eyes. Looking at this scene, he was completely stunned. Ancestor god above. I am in danger. Can you help me? Xiao Sun Air immediately knelt down and kowtowed seriously. I am the 2 Shi ancient god Jade. God? Boy, hurry up and kneel, Yao Lao crazily shouted in Xiao Yan's mind. Your chance to live is here. Hurry up, stop daydreaming. Xiao Yan reacted and immediately knelt down. However, he asked in his heart, Yao Lao, didn't you say that there is no God in this world? Sun Er summoned this huge light figure. Could it be that a Do Di has descended? But how can there be a Do Di in this world? Isn't that just a legend? Do Di? Yao Lao's voice trembled. How can this be the divine aura of a Do Di? I don't know whether he is a god or not. However, whether you and that little girl can survive now depends on this god. Xiao Yan. Chapter 1785. At this moment, the divine light was majestic. Sun Er, this is... Xiao Yan obeyed Yao Lao's words, or rather, he obeyed his heart and hurriedly knelt down. Ancestor God, Xiao Sun Er said emotionally. It is the god that I mentioned. I didn't expect him to descend. Xiao Yan's heart shook, even though he already knew the result. He was even more shocked when he heard Sun Er say it herself. At the same time, a few Do Shangs turned their eyes to the majestic light figure at the same time. Who are you? The leader of the Do Shangs stood in the air. His eyes focused as he asked in a deep voice, Are you trying to meddle in other people's business? He had already advanced to the Do Shang class, but he had just begun to experience the wonderful feeling of being able to look down on the entire continent. At this moment, this Do Shang felt an intense uneasiness in his heart. Attack! The Do Shang who had charged out to capture Xiao Yan and Xiao Sun Er paused for a moment. It was as though he had received an order through voice transmission. He immediately grabbed at the two of them. A powerful Do Qi ripple was released from this Do Shang's body. A pair of bright light wings appeared behind this Do Shang. It seemed to be some kind of mysterious martial technique. In an instant, time seemed to have stopped as he appeared in front of the two of them. Even Xiao Yan and Xiao Sun Er's expressions did not change at all. It was at this moment that a pair of calm eyes appeared from the figure in the majestic divine light. They were like the eyes of the heavens, staring at the sky. The boundless aura froze at this moment. That pair of eyes released a divine light. It was like an icy glare that caused the entire world to stop. It was like the anger of a god. At this moment, the few Do Shangs in Xiao Yan and Xiao Sun Er's eyes were like characters on a picture that had been erased with an eraser. It turned into endless dust and scattered in the sky. Then, with a gust of wind, it disappeared between heaven and earth. A couple of strange imprints appeared on the bodies of the Do Shangs who had disappeared. An intense light figure was formed in the sky. That light figure was boundless. The entire sky seemed to be unable to contain it. Within the pattern, there was a boundless region. Within it, there was a majestic palace. A majestic figure stood on top of it like a giant, exuding an aura that could shake the universe. At least, that was how Xiao Sun Er and Xiao Yan saw it. Xiao Yan thought that he had never seen a Do Di before. However, he could tell that the divine figure standing above the palace in the light image was an expert who had surpassed a Do Di. If nothing unexpected happened, it should be the master behind those few Do Shangs. They can't be from the soul race. Yao Lao was extremely shocked. Where did such a powerful existence come from? This is definitely not an expert from our continent. She knew about the Han clan. Actually, when she saw the seriously injured Ling Ying and the few Do Shangs, she felt that something was wrong. Not to mention that the soul race had found him. There were only a few Do Shangs in the entire continent. Where did the Han clan find so many Do Shangs? There must be a problem. Now it seems that the ancestor god has just finished off a few Do Shangs, but this person, could it be that he's also a god? I'm afraid I've caused a huge problem for the ancestor god. Xiao Sun Er thought to herself. At the same time, a mental fluctuation came from the boundary of the light pattern. How dare you? You even dare to wipe out this god's kin. You're courting death. The boundless mental fluctuation shattered the entire sky in an instant. Xiao Sun Er and Xiao Yan couldn't feel this mental fluctuation. Naturally, they couldn't decipher the meaning behind it. However, the light pattern shook. A pitch-black spear penetrated through the void from the giant light pattern that Wang Feng had manifested. It turned into a stream of light and attacked the boundless light pattern. At the moment of contact, that boundless image of light that seemed to encompass the entire world immediately shattered into countless fragments. You're just a god who had just become a false god. How dare you manifest your divine domain and power in front of this god? I'm very familiar with your aura. Looks like you're also a god from the crow god system, right? Last time, you let the death spirit god escape. This time, you dare to manifest your divine domain in front of me. The mental fluctuation that was as huge as the galaxy converged with the spear and disappeared in the broken pattern. You're that native god? The moment the pattern shattered, an intermittent wave of mental energy gradually disappeared. In the blink of an eye, the Do-Chi continent that seemed to have gone through an apocalypse seemed to have regained its calm. It was as if nothing had happened. In the ancestral realm, Wang Feng sneered. The gods of this god system universe are very weak. Yin Mengyao said with a serious face. He can't even take a single spear strike for Master. Is he seriously injured? Initially, I wanted to manifest my divine domain and directly kill you, Master. I didn't expect that I would encounter a tough opponent. As a spectator, Yin Mengyao watched very seriously. This god should be from the Crow Divine branch, said Wang Feng. Moreover, judging from the level of the manifested god domain, it should be very weak. He's much weaker than the god of death. The god of death was not a false god, but a heavenly god. After all, the gods who could play chess in the godly universe were not comparable to these fake gods who were still developing and conquering beliefs on a mere continent. Even the god of death couldn't take more than a few hits from Wang Feng, let alone a fake god. Moreover, the other party was obviously weaker. He didn't even have a powerful clan. Wang Feng didn't even sense a clan at the level of a wild species. This was several levels weaker than the fake god from the Dongwang Divine Branch. The fake god from the Dongwang Divine Branch not only had a wild species clan, but also a holy species clan. As for whether he had a spiritual paragon clan, it was not clear. Speaking of which, the fake god from the Dongwang Divine Branch was, after all, representative of a divine branch, a peerless genius. Naturally, it was different. This fake god is probably the lowest kind of god in the Crow Divine Branch. Wang Feng shook his head and didn't care. It wasn't that he looked down on the Do-Chi continent. For a god at the level of the god of death, if he were to conquer the Do-Chi continent, he could almost directly bestow a divine imprint to all the creatures on the continent. He could almost completely seize beliefs in a breath. Why would he need to use this kind of slow process to bestow a divine imprint to a mere soul, then conquer the entire continent, find the chosen one, and cultivate it into a clan? There is still a big difference between a heavenly god and a fake god. Speaking of which, Shao Sun and Xiao Yan are the chosen ones, right? Yin Mengyao whispered. The two chosen ones have produced the power of belief, so they should be very special, right? Special? Wang Feng shook his head. No matter how special it is, they are too weak after all. They are not as good as the great Qin world where Ying Zheng was. Ying Zheng was the combination of the emperor and the son of heaven. In both history and the future, he possessed great potential. Although the great Qin world's power level is not high, far lower than the Do-Chi continent. In a chapter. Chapter 1786. At this moment, the divine light was majestic. Sun Er, this is Xiaoyan obeyed Yao Lao's words, or rather, he obeyed his heart and hurriedly knelt down. Ancestor God, Xiao Sun Er said emotionally. It is the god that I mentioned. I didn't expect him to descend. Xiaoyan's heart shook, even though he already knew the result. He was even more shocked when he heard Sun Er say it herself. At the same time, a few Doshungs turned their eyes to the majestic light figure at the same time. Who are you? The leader of the Doshungs stood in the air. His eyes focused as he asked in a deep voice. Are you trying to meddle in other people's business? He had already advanced to the Doshung class, but he had just begun to experience the wonderful feeling of being able to look down on the entire continent. At this moment, this Doshung felt an intense uneasiness in his heart. Attack! The Dosheng who had charged out to capture Xiao Yin and Xiao Sun Air paused for a moment. It was as though he had received an order through voice transmission. He immediately grabbed at the two of them. A powerful Do-Chi ripple was released from this Dosheng's body. A pair of bright light wings appeared behind this Dosheng. It seemed to be some kind of mysterious martial technique. In an instant, time seemed to have stopped as he appeared in front of the two of them. Even Xiao Yin and Xiao Sun Air's expressions did not change at all. It was at this moment that a pair of calm eyes appeared from the figure in the majestic divine light. They were like the eyes of the heavens, staring at the sky. The boundless aura froze at this moment. That pair of eyes released a divine light. It was like an icy glare that caused the entire world to stop. Oof. It was like the anger of God. At this moment, the few Doshengs in Xiao Yin and Xiao Sun Air's eyes were like characters on a picture that had been erased with an eraser. It turned into endless dust and scattered in the sky. Then, with a gust of wind, it disappeared between heaven and earth. A couple of strange imprints appeared on the bodies of the Doshengs who had disappeared. An intense light figure was formed in the sky. That light figure was boundless. The entire sky seemed to be unable to contain it. Within the pattern, there was a boundless region. Within it, there was a majestic palace. A majestic figure stood on top of it like a giant, exuding an aura that could shake the universe. At least, that was how Xiao Sun Air and Xiao Yin saw it. Xiao Yin thought that he had never seen a Do-Di before. However, he could tell that the divine figure standing above the palace in the light image was an expert who had surpassed a Do-Di. If nothing unexpected happened, it should be the master behind those few Doshengs. They can't be from the soul race. Yao Lao was extremely shocked. Where did such a powerful existence come from? This is definitely not an expert from our continent. She knew about the Han clan. Actually, when she saw the seriously injured Ling Ying and the few Doshengs, she felt that something was wrong. Forget about the fact that the soul race had found him. There were only a few Doshengs in the entire continent. Where did the Han clan find so many Doshengs? There must be a problem. Now it seems that the ancestor god has just finished off a few Doshengs, but this person, could it be that he is also a god? I'm afraid I've caused a huge problem for the ancestor god. Xiao Sun Air thought to herself. At the same time, a mental fluctuation came from the boundary of a light pattern. How dare you? You even dare to wipe out this god's kin. You're courting death. The boundless mental fluctuation shattered the entire sky in an instant. Xiao Sun Air and Xiao Yin couldn't feel this mental fluctuation. Naturally, they couldn't decipher the meaning behind it. However, the light pattern shook. A pitch-black spear pierced through the void from the giant light pattern that Wang Feng had manifested. It turned into a stream of light and shot towards the boundless light pattern. At the moment of contact, that boundless image of light that seemed to encompass the entire world immediately shattered into countless fragments. You're just a new false god. How dare you show yourself in front of me with your puny divine domain and aura? I'm very familiar with your aura. It seems that you're also a god from the Crow god system. Last time, you let the death spirit god escape. This time, you dare to manifest your divine domain in front of me. Die! The mental fluctuation that was as huge as the galaxy converged with the spear. It disappeared in the broken pattern. You're that native god? At the moment when the pattern was broken, the intermittent mental fluctuation gradually disappeared. In the blink of an eye, the Doomsday Do-Chi continent seemed to have returned to normal, as if nothing had happened. In the ancestral realm, Wang Feng sneered. The god from this god system universe is very weak, Yin Mingyao said with a serious face. He couldn't even withstand a single strike from Master. He must be seriously injured, right? I wanted to manifest my divine domain and kill you directly, but I didn't expect to meet a tough opponent. As a bystander, Yin Mingyao looked very serious. This god should be from the Crow god system, Wang Feng said, and from the level of his divine domain, he's very weak. He's much weaker than the death spirit god. The death spirit god wasn't a false god. He was a heavenly god. After all, A god that could play chess in a super god system universe wasn't comparable to a false god that was still developing and conquering faith on a mere continent. The death spirit god couldn't even withstand a few strikes from Wang Feng, let alone a false god. And the other party was obviously weaker. He didn't even have a powerful clan. Wang Feng didn't even sense a wild breed. He was several levels weaker than the false god from the Dongwang god system. The false god from the Dongwang god system not only had a wild breed clan, but also a holy breed clan. As for whether he had a spiritual paragon clan, it wasn't clear. Speaking of which, the false god from the Dongwang god system was a representative of a god system, a peerless genius. Naturally, he was different. This false god is probably the lowest god in the Crow god system. Wang Feng shook his head and didn't care. It wasn't that he looked down on the Do Chi continent. If a god like the Death Spirit god was to conquer the Do Chi continent, he could almost directly bestow a divine seal to all the creatures on the continent. He could almost completely seize faith in a breath. Why would he need to slowly bestow a divine seal to a mere soul race, then conquer the entire continent, find a child of destiny, and cultivate them into a clan? There is a big difference between a heavenly god and a false god. Speaking of which, Xiao Sun Air and Xiao Yin are the children of destiny, right? Yin Mengyao whispered. The two children of destiny produce the power of faith. It should be very special, right? Special? Wang Feng shook his head. No matter how special it is, they are too weak after all. They are not as good as the great Qin world where Ying Zheng was. Ying Zheng was the combination of the emperor and the child of destiny. He had great potential in history and the future, although the great Qin world's power level is not high, far lower than the Do Chi continent. There was still a big difference between a heavenly god and a false god. Speaking of which, Xiao Sun Air and Xiao Yin are the children of destiny, right? Yin Mengyao whispered. The two children of destiny produce the power of faith. It should be very special, right? It wasn't that he looked down on the Do Chi continent. If a god like the Death Spirit god was to conquer the Do Chi continent, he could almost directly bestow a divine seal to all the creatures on the continent. He could seize faith in a breath. Chapter 1787. The Ancestral Realm. Wang Feng's palm moved slightly, and two special power of faith twisted slightly like spirals. These two power of faith naturally came from Xiao Yin and Xiao Sun. The thin strands of faith power were very small, but Wang Feng could feel a special aura. After all, they're the children of destiny of the world. Wang Feng shook his head slightly. After a moment of silence, the two disagreed with Ying Zheng. Ying Zheng was the emperor. With one order, he could easily make the whole country believe in him. In addition to the changes brought about by the star power, it was enough to produce enough power of faith in a short time. With the help of the chaotic green lotus, he could create the human path reincarnation of the 9 paths of reincarnation. These two power of faith, even with the help of the chaotic green lotus, would not be able to create another path of reincarnation. But as long as these two people grew up, it would be enough. The 2 diluted seeds of karmic fire are enough to let these 2 people grow quickly. Wang Feng thought to himself. He defeated that god. Naturally, all the descendants left behind by that god in the Do Chi Dali would be restored to their original state. If nothing unexpected happened, the story should be on the right path. But the seeds of karmic fire would let these 2 people grow quickly. Wang Feng was not sure what would happen then. Oh right, the girl who is watching in the dark should be nailing Yinran who came to cancel the engagement. Wang Fengxin suddenly thought of something. When he descended, Wang Feng sensed that there was a girl watching in the dark near Xiao Yin and Xiao Sun. She was not from the Xiao family, so it was very likely that she was nailing Yinran who came to cancel the engagement. After thinking for a moment, Wang Feng shook his head slightly. But she doesn't know about the great Tao God summoning chapter. It is not possible for her to sense me. Wang Feng did not intend to pay too much attention to others. Xiao Yin and Xiao Sun alone were enough. According to Wang Feng's calculations, The power of faith they would produce in the future was enough to create another path of reincarnation. And it would not take too long. There was no need to cultivate more believers. Master, master, come and see. At this moment, Yin Mingyao's call came. Amidst the clouds, Yin Mingyao excitedly pointed at an image of a halo formed by clouds. In the halo was the group of newly born humans. Wang Feng was slightly taken aback. The reason for that was because the number of people on the screen had increased from several tens to several hundreds. How long has it been in the ancestral realm? Wang Feng asked. Probably less than 5 years, Yin Mingyao said. The river of time in the ancestral realm was very short, and Wang Feng could change the flow of time as he wished. In order to speed up development, Wang Feng compared the flow of time to the Douluo universe and sped it up a lot. So fast, Wang Feng was slightly stunned. Of course, master. Isn't reincarnation established to accelerate the birth of the cycle of life? Yin Mingyao giggled. With the human Dao reincarnation and the strong reproductive ability of the human race, a few years is enough for them to give birth to many offspring. Moreover, they're humans created by you. Their offspring have extremely strong growth potential. In about a year, their bodies would grow from a child to a teenager, and in 2 years, they would become adult men. From a genetic point of view, their genes are too powerful. They are truly superhumans. Wang Feng nodded slightly. If one had to make an analogy, these humans were super scion level. Enlarge the screen and let me see, Wang Feng said. Yin Mingyao enlarged the screen. Like the center of the ancestral realm, she could see the changes in the ancestral realm from time to time. In the screen, a tall and sturdy man with a handsome face could be seen shuttling through the forest that was hundreds of meters high. Every jump could span hundreds of meters, and he was followed by several companions wearing the same clothes. They seemed to be hunting. The forest shook violently, as if there was an earthquake. I remember that there shouldn't be any wild beasts in the ancestral realm now. Were they hunting? Wang Feng asked in surprise. There are no wild beasts in the ancestral realm, but you forgot that your little brothers are in this world. They created some large wild beasts with no intelligence to test the humans you created. Because we haven't established the reincarnation of the monster Dao, it's very difficult to give these wild beasts wisdom and reproduce. You can only rely on your little brothers to create them. Yin Mingyao said, because they are created for fun, they don't have any intelligence. They only know how to kill, similar to toys. But the effect is good. With these toys, these humans grow very fast. In the beginning, even if these wild beasts were just toys, they were created by your little brothers and were very strong. In order to deal with these wild beasts, the human sovereign who is endowed with a special power of faith has created a simple cultivation method. He can already effectively use his body to resist these wild beasts. After 3 years, he can hunt wild beasts. The growth rate is too exaggerated. After listening to Yin Mingyao, only then did Wang Feng remember that his little brother's strength had reached a very strong level. He originally wanted to split the primal chaos green lotus into many treasures and bestow them to his little brothers. But later, he discovered that the primal chaos green lotus had a strong amplification effect on the power of faith, so he temporarily put it aside. Moreover, Wang Feng also experimented. The amplification effect of the primal chaos green lotus was limited to the power of faith and sacrifices mixed with the power of faith. Other external objects couldn't amplify it. For the Kurinim, it was still very useful. So later, he didn't plan to split the primal chaos green lotus. With the strength of Ching Ching and the others, they are already comparable to a first-rank god in the Douluo divine world. Although most of the creatures they created have no intelligence and are just toys, they are still very strong. If they were in a world like the Do-Chi continent, they might not be able to destroy heaven and earth, but they can still bring disaster to a place. These humans are just at the beginning stage, but they already have such great strength. The future is promising. Wang Feng nodded slightly. He was very satisfied with the creatures he created. Master, look. Yin Mingyao pointed at the image and said, The humans seemed to have finished their hunt and were preparing to return to their residence. The human sovereign easily caught the prey behind him with one hand. Even from the image, the size of the wild beast was dozens of times larger than the latter. It looked like an ant pulling an elephant. This wild beast, why does it look a little similar to cowardly Kuan? Wang Feng rubbed his chin and said, "Who made this wild beast?" It seems to be that small crocodile," Yin Mingyao said. "It looks so similar. Isn't he afraid that cowardly Kuan will find trouble with him?" Wang Feng laughed. "Ah," Yin Mingyao thought for a moment and said, "Previously, cowardly Kuan also created a group of wild beasts that looked very similar to the small crocodile and named them chrysanthemum crocodiles." Wang Feng. End of chapter. Chapter 1788. So, these guys were using this method to hurt each other, right? Wang Feng couldn't help but laugh. However, with the relationship between these guys, it was probably just for fun. "Master, look, they're going to worship their god." Yin Mingyao pointed at the image and said, "Every time after a successful hunt, the human sovereign would bring his clansmen to worship you, the Father God. They think that this is a gift from you." Oh. Wang Feng followed the image and looked over. Sure enough, after the human sovereign returned to his residence, he brought his clansmen to the place of worship. The place where they lived was very simple. It was a small cave made of simple stones. However, the place of worship was built on a large scale. There was a crystal-clear jade pillar in all directions. It was about 10 meters tall. It was unknown what material it was made of. However, to these humans living in the cave, it must be extremely precious. In the center, there was a statue. Wang Feng looked at it and found that it was indeed his appearance. However, the carving was very ordinary. It didn't even depict 30% of his appearance. At this moment, the human sovereign first cut off the beast's head and placed it under the statue to show how precious it was. Wang Feng watched the whole process of the worship. In fact, it wasn't complicated. For these newborn humans, the process was very simple. However, it was especially solemn. In addition to the beast, there were many items that they had collected and thought were very precious. They would use some of them as offerings. "I have accepted the offerings for you, Master," Yin Mingyao said. Strands of extremely pure power of faith condensed from each of them and gathered in the statue. "What pure power of faith?" Wang Feng whispered. "Of course, you're their Father God. In their hearts, you are the greatest existence since birth. Moreover, they're the first generation of humans." Yin Mingyao said, "Although the power of faith is very weak, it is very pure." Wang Feng sighed and gently waved his hand. First, the power of faith was injected into the chaotic green lotus. After the power of faith was increased, 1/10 of it was cut off and changed through the origin energy. The divine power was processed and turned into rich energy of heaven and earth. It was injected into the statue. The next moment, after the worship was finished, the statue shone brightly and emitted a burst of energy rain. It fell into the bodies of every human. It cleansed and repaired their bodies. At the same time, Wang Feng processed the 2 strands of faith power that he had obtained from Xiao Yin and Xiao Sun respectively. It was injected into the 2 humans beside the human sovereign. These 2 were the left and right arms of the human emperor. During the hunt, they had assisted the human emperor in killing the wild beast. In an instant, the auras of the 2 humans underwent a drastic change. Master, what are you doing?" Yin Mingyao was slightly stunned, and the next moment, she opened her mouth wide. The aptitude of these 2 people is increasing rapidly. 2 golden rays of light rose from their bodies. As expected, Wang Feng smiled faintly. The power of faith produced by these children of destiny, after being processed by divine power, can actually improve the aptitude of the human race that I created. It can even produce some powerful characteristics. In the ancient system of the divine system, this is actually the correct way to cultivate the most special and powerful soul supremes among the gods' minions. But now, the life of the divine system, in order to pursue speed, Most of them choose to directly develop the children of destiny from different worlds into their own soul supremes, and then neglect to create their own because it takes a lot of time and energy. Moreover, their power of faith is not enough. In the history of the divine system universe, this method, which had already been eliminated, had a huge flaw in comparison. Using the power of faith produced by the children of destiny to give to the life created by oneself can improve the aptitude of these life forms, and they will definitely become great in the future. One of the main reasons why it was eliminated is that the aptitude ratio is very low. According to the information of the divine system universe obtained from the Crimson God Fox Emperor, at least 100 children of destiny are needed to produce the power of faith to improve the aptitude of one's own creation. Therefore, the gods of the modern divine system universe think that this method is too old. Although the life created by oneself is extremely powerful and doesn't even need divine power imprint, even if the god is dead. These life forms created by oneself are still very powerful and won't die with the god. Their potential is endless. But the power of faith produced by 100 children of destiny is enough to let a god who has just opened up a divine domain immediately become a pseudo-god. Below pseudo-gods are pseudo-gods. And according to the size of the divine domain and the overall evaluation of the number of minions one has, pseudo-gods have 10 levels. It is too wasteful to use such a huge amount of power of faith to improve the aptitude of one god to create a life. God creating a life refers to the life created by the god himself. Moreover, directly cultivating the children of destiny into their own soul supremes would also allow one to obtain a life with the same aptitude. Then why do they have to create their own life and waste the power of faith and their own divine power to cultivate it? Although directly cultivating the children of destiny requires leaving behind a divine power imprint, so that the thoughts of these children of destiny will be solidified and they will die with the god, it doesn't affect their strength. Naturally, this method of nurturing a clan tribe was eliminated. And this kind of ancient method is called divine method imparting Tao in the divine system universe. The power of faith is useless to me because I don't follow the system of the divine system universe. On the contrary, this kind of ancient method is very beneficial to the ancestral realm. Coupled with the increase of the Chaos Green Lotus, it means that I don't have to get the power of faith of a child of destiny to improve their aptitude. From the vision when the human emperor was born, Wang Feng roughly thought that this kind of ancient method that was eliminated by the divine system universe is the most suitable for him. Now it seems that it is true. For example, it is like in a game, the passerby NPC with a white name is directly promoted to purple, red, and other special NPCs. The change brought by this kind of promotion of aptitude is extremely huge. If it is in the divine system universe, it is directly promoted from a wild species to a holy species, and in the future, it can also become a soul supremes. It was unknown how many grades there were between them. Among the desolate breed clan races, there were 108 different grades in the God system universe. It is not just a name. At the same time, accompanied by the statue of himself, a miracle was sent down. Every single human was cheering excitedly. This is a miracle sent down by the Father God. To them, this is the Father God's response. The human race is already on the right track. Wang Feng pinched his chin slightly. Next, we have to prepare for the next reincarnation. The ancestral realm can't only have the human race. In the chat group, other than Ing Zheng, there is this condition to quickly produce a large amount of power of faith in a chapter. Chapter 1789. In the chat group, to She Ancient Emperor Jade. Everyone, I announce that from today onwards, I am also a believer of the Ancestor God. Happy, JPG, Fanyi, Yangon Pawn. Borrowing 10,000 years from the heavens. Congratulations. So, did the Ancestor God also descend to your world? Can't betray me. How did you do it? I also chanted the great Dao God summoning chapter, but it didn't seem to have any effect. I even built an altar and planned to use some sacrificial offerings. Did you sacrifice some powerful items to the ancestor god? 2. She ancient emerald jade. No, I just sincerely chanted the great Dao God summoning chapter, and the ancestor god descended. Obedient. JPG. Next, I will have to work hard. When I become strong, I will repay the ancestor god's favor. Striving. JPG. Hearing this, in the chat group, everyone had different expressions. They sent out different emoticons to express their complicated feelings. In the Three Kingdoms world, Cao Cao was stunned, sincerely chanted, "Am I not sincere enough?" Cao Cao couldn't help but think. In the first video that 10,000 years ago, Cao Cao had seen how terrifying the ancestor god was. He had chanted the great Dao God summoning chapter more than once. But it didn't have any effect. Not only did it not have any effect, but it also made him feel a little dazed. Prime Minister, the battle plan has been prepared. Today is the day you make the oath. The three armies are all waiting. Outside the tent, a middle-aged man wearing a scholar's robe walked in and said in a low voice. The middle-aged man's eyes were bright and full of spirit. One look, and one could tell that he was an extremely intelligent person. Cao Cao didn't reply. At this moment, he was still paying attention to the chat group. The middle-aged man frowned slightly. These few days, the Prime Minister didn't seem to be in the right state. But now that the battle was imminent, such a state was worrying. The Prime Minister has been nagging about some god. When did the Prime Minister start to believe in such things? When a middle-aged man thought of this, his eyes trembled and he let out a loud voice. "Prime Minister, wake up!" This voice was like a drum from the 9 heavens. It was like an invisible sound wave that spread out in all directions. A dazzling light lit up all around the tent, as if it was some kind of protective, profound formation. Cao Cao's entire body shuddered. He suddenly reacted from the chat group and looked at the person who came. Only then did he let out a sigh of relief. "Sun Yu, I thought there was an assassin. I say, you don't have to use this kind of mysterious technique to wake me up, right?" In this world, civil officials cultivated profound techniques, while military generals cultivated martial arts. They could split mountains and split the earth, split rivers and overturn seas. "Prime Minister, it's time for the oath of allegiance. Are we still going to fight?" Sun Yu said solemnly, "Although we have a huge advantage, our army gathered at Red Cliff to fight Sun Quan and Liu Bei. If we win, the southern territories will belong to our great Han dynasty. If we lose, our vitality will be greatly damaged and we won't be able to start another war for a few years. How can the Prime Minister be distracted by the importance of this battle?" Cao Cao coughed twice. He wasn't distracted. "Speaking of which, I don't seem to need the ancestor god." Cao Cao suddenly thought, "Right now, I have victory in my hands. That kid Fan Yi said that I will lose at Red Cliff. That's in the history he knows. But that kid Fan Ye's world is not on the same level as mine. This Red Cliff is not a problem for my army. The Battle of Red Cliff." Cao Cao and Yi Fan talked about it before. He also understood that in the history of Yi Fan's world, the Sun Lu alliance defeated him at Red Cliff in a classic battle. Cao Cao studied for a long time before he realized that the history of Yi Fan's world was different from his. There were a few reasons for the defeat of the Battle of Red Cliff. However, Cao Cao gathered many strategists, and after studying it, he realized that these reasons were impossible. For example, Cao Cao was from the north, and his army was mainly cavalry. When he came to the river, he didn't have a navy, and the cavalry's combat ability was very low. If they were infantry, they naturally couldn't be compared to the Sun Shi Group's navy. However, the truth was the soldiers under Cao Cao's command were indeed mainly cavalry. But sorry, cavalry wasn't ordinary cavalry. Their horses weren't normal horses, but mysterious blood feather horses that could fly for a short period of time. Moreover, the soldiers all cultivated special techniques that allowed them to resist water. Before going down south, the soldiers were all trained so they weren't afraid of fighting on water. Similarly, they wouldn't be unable to adapt to the environment. Soldiers who cultivated martial techniques could even not eat or drink for 3 days and 3 nights. Why would they be unable to adapt to the environment and cause their combat strength to drop so quickly? As for fire attacks, that was even more impossible. Cao Cao heard that Liu Bei's Zhuge Liang and Sun Quan's Zhou Yu and Lu Su were all high-grade Qian cultivators who were good at the 8 techniques. They could truly summon the wind and rain, and could even summon the blazing sun and fire, and could burn everything. Many of the soldiers with low martial arts cultivation couldn't resist this kind of burning fire. In the past, the soldiers under him had all suffered losses. This was why before he went down south, he and his strategists were fully prepared. Cao Cao walked out and looked at the blazing sun in the sky. He couldn't help but laugh. Unless Zhuge Liang can summon this sun god fire. Cao Cao laughed. Otherwise, with my elite soldiers, it's impossible to use fire attacks. However, the sun god fire was a flame of that level. Even the experts of their world couldn't easily summon it. Even if they could, unless it covered a huge area with the size and numbers of his army, it wouldn't be able to cause a strategic blow and heavy damage. Maybe it's because I have victory in my hands. So, I'm more curious than sincere about the descent of the ancestor god, Cao Cao thought to himself. He seemed to have understood something. Cao Cao couldn't help but laugh. That's right. The ancestor god is such a powerful existence. Even this world might not be worth mentioning to him. But my strength is enough to sweep the world. Why would I need the descent of the ancestor god? Sun Yu, let's go. Follow me to swear an oath. Prepare for war. Cao Cao thought this through and put the matter of the ancestor god aside. He was a hero of a generation. At this moment, his aura was at its peak. Although he had seen great power, he was on the side of the strong, not the weak side like Ying Zheng. He didn't have a strong desire for the ancestor god. He even understood that the reason he chanted the scripture was because of curiosity rather than sincerity. Sun Yu nodded slightly and walked out with Cao Cao. Ding! Tushi Ancient Emperor Jade uploaded a video. At this moment, Cao Cao heard a voice from the chat group. It must be a video of the ancestor god showing his might, Cao Cao said worriedly. Damn, I want to watch it. Forget it. I'll watch it after we win the war. Anyway, this war should end very quickly. A confident smile appeared on Cao Cao's face. In the chat group, Fan Yi, damn, Ancient Emperor Jade, are the experts of your world so powerful? To be able to fly in the sky, they must be at least 100 meters high, right? Also, what are the wings on the back of those battle saints? They look very cool. Tushi Ancient Emperor Jade. That's nothing. If a battle saint is compared to your world, they can easily destroy a city. The nuclear bombs of your world might not be able to cause any obvious damage to them. Fan Yi, Yangon Pawn Shop's worker, I recently learned some immortal arts. Someone taught me. But in comparison, I feel that those battle saints can kill me with one finger. In a video, how are they killed by the ancestor god? I saw everything. They seemed to have disappeared. The few of them were watching the video that Xiao Suner uploaded. Borrowing 10,000 years from the heavens, I don't understand how the ancestor god did it. Tushi Ancient Emperor Jade. This shameful. JPG. I don't understand it either. In a chapter. Chapter 1790. Everyone, F *** K. You are from that world too. You actually can't understand it? Fan Yi. Based on my analysis, the ancestor god might have killed those few battle sages through the rules. Yangon Pawn. What do you mean by the rules? I don't understand. Can you explain? Fan Yi. It is very troublesome to explain. Every world has its own rules. Do you know what it means to have laws following words? It means that whatever he says is the rules of this world. If he wants someone to die, he only needs to say a word. This is the method of a true god. Everyone, borrow 10,000 years from the heavens. Brother Fan Yi, I remember that you are not a cultivator. Why do you know so much? Could it be that you are also a hidden god? Fan Yi, cough cough. I just read a lot of books. Although I'm not a god, it doesn't stop me from making blind guesses. Comic. JPG. Everyone, too, she Ancient Emperor Jade. I understand now. No wonder. Usually, the fights between the experts on our side would be earth-shattering. These battle sages are the top experts on the continent. They disappeared without a trace. This method is too unimaginable. Perhaps it is only when you speak of the law that I am able to understand a little. Fanyi, but I don't understand the latter part. After those battle sages died, what is the special light picture that covered the entire sky? It feels even more terrifying and grand. It is hard to guess. The ancestor god seems to have used a special power to destroy it. Is he also an expert from your world? Tushi Ancient Emperor Jade. No, he is not. The strongest person here is a Do-D, although it has been many years since a Do-D has appeared. Even though there has been a battle emperor for a long time, battle emperors have not reached that level. That light picture should be an expert that has transcended our world. He should be the mastermind behind the evil soul race. The gods of the God System universe were too far away from them. It was naturally hard to know, not to mention knowing it was hard to even think about it. Wang Feng shook his head slightly and didn't interrupt. He would let them talk among themselves. And where did Cao Cao go? Wang Feng took a look. He realized that no one in the world can betray him, but he didn't say anything. This shouldn't be. Wang Feng had actually sensed Cao Cao's chanting. However, the level of the chanting was so weak that it couldn't even produce the power of faith. Therefore, Wang Feng did not descend to Cao Cao's world. Since Cao Cao could not produce the power of faith, it meant that Cao Cao did not need him to fulfill any of his conditions, nor did he have any offerings. Naturally, Wang Feng would not casually descend. Although Wang Feng did not directly use the divine power imprint method to directly turn these group members into his believers. However, sincerity was still needed. Wang Feng was not in a hurry. Ding! Ghostly has joined the chat group. Another voice rang out in the chat group. Fanyi, another newcomer is here. Ghostly, this name is unlucky. The waiter of Yong and pawn shop. 'Tis TSK, who would give themselves such a name. Newbie, quick, show me your photo. How much money do you have? Which world are you from? The chat group was silent. The newcomer did not seem to answer. Wang Feng seemed to be even quieter than before. Ghostly, Wang Feng was slightly stunned. He knew that. Isn't that the main character of Zhu Xian's world? Yin Qingjue could do it. The chosen one that Yin Qingjue pulled over seems to be someone that I know. Even my heart. Wang Feng smiled. Thinking of this, Wang Feng suddenly had a thought. Cao Cao seems to have reacted. Since he is so sincere, it seems like he is in trouble. A strong call was transmitted into Wang Feng's mind. Three Kingdoms World. Red Cliff. Above the sky, a giant palm descended from the sky. Below it were the waves of Red Cliff. Warships were linked together, moving on the river's surface in an orderly manner. What is that? Cao Cao, who was on the main ship, looked at the giant palm and was stunned. Beside him, Sun Yu's expression changed. Prime Minister, that giant palm is covering. That giant palm seemed to cover the sky. It had completely surpassed the grade of martial arts. Even the strongest war god, Lu Bu, who could split half of Red Cliff with a halberd, was unable to execute such a giant palm. It covered hundreds of thousands of his army. Moreover, that giant palm was covered with torrential flames. Cao Cao's pupils constricted. That is the true sun flame. Impossible. This is definitely impossible. Cao Cao's eyes were filled with shock. This is definitely not something those strategists like Zhuge Liang can use. However, the moment he said those words, the giant palm also landed. It pretty much did not give Cao Cao any time to react. How long? In an instant, the entire Red Cliff River was set ablaze. It was like it had evaporated, giving off endless steam. Hundreds of thousands of troops, including the warships, were wiped out in an instant. The scene was so shocking that it nearly stunned Cao Cao. Only a few generals with extremely high martial arts cultivation managed to survive. Flames covered the sky. The true sun flame that could not be used up was enough to burn everything to ashes. The true sun flame that was hundreds of feet high was not something that Cao Cao's warships and soldiers could handle. Prime Minister, retreat. Sun Yu hollered. immediately surrounding Cao Cao with the other strategists. At this moment, numerous people flew over from all directions. Cao Mengde, you will definitely die here today. Cao Cao, this red cliff is the final destination of your dog. Die. In the air and in the steam, there were countless figures like heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals. They were not riding horses, but rather, they were controlling the flow of water. They were really special. Amongst them, there were a few strong auras that made the generals on Cao Cao's side feel terrified. Just now, the giant palm that suddenly descended had wiped out the hundreds of thousands of elite troops that Cao Cao was so proud of. Now, these Sun and Lu soldiers who had taken advantage of the situation to attack clearly knew the situation. Cao Cao took 2 steps back and stared at these fellows. He could not catch his breath and felt something sweet in his throat. He nearly spat out blood. This is definitely not the power of our world. Jerk! Cao Cao thought calmly. It must be the Sun and Lu's side working together. Wait, let me see. Cao Cao looked around. He noticed that only a few of the Sun and Lu soldiers came. There was no one else. No, I cannot lose here. Cao Cao came back to his senses and suddenly faced a huge change. If it was before, he felt that he might have died. However, after joining the chat group, his knowledge had broadened. At this moment, he was still clear-headed. Cao Cao looked at his subordinates, whose faces were all ashen, and his eyes slowly became firm. He took in a deep breath. Ancestor God, only Ancestor God can help me escape from this situation. Chapter 1791. Lord? Lord? Sun Yu's face was ashen as he shouted at Cao Cao. However, Cao Cao did not react at all. It was like he was scared silly. Sun Yu sighed. No matter how much he thought about it, he had never considered this step. Prime Minister, I will open a path for you. A one-eyed general at the side coldly said. Sun Yu kept silent. Given the current situation, it was almost impossible to carve out a path of blood. Under that palm, hundreds of thousands of troops were wiped out. The remaining soldiers could not even fight their way out. Whether or not they could survive in this scorching essence sunfire was a problem. Furthermore, the enemy had not even attacked yet. Sun Yu shook his head. In such a situation, they had no chance at all. That palm had obviously exceeded the limit of this world. Who knew how the Sun Lu Alliance army did it? Furthermore, the experts of this world could not control such blazing and huge sun flames. The water of the red cliff evaporated along with the blazing flames, leaving behind a long gully. Countless ships were reduced to ashes, and some of them were even mixed with the faintly glowing ashes. Sun Yu raised his head and looked into the distance. He could only see rows of soldiers in the air. That was the Jiangdong overturning navy, the elites of the elites. The general leading them was Jiangdong's famous general, Taisher Ci. From all directions, over 10 generals had surrounded this warship, which was barely able to resist the essence sunfire. Sun Yu could also sense a few mystic cultivators with special identities, such as Zhou Yu from River East, Lu Su, and Zhuge Liang, who was known as the Crouching Dragon, were all watching from afar. However, they did not attack. They just waited for the sun flames to burn the defensive energy shield outside the warship. Like a flame beast, it was slowly eating away. Dong! Just at that moment, Cao Cao suddenly knelt down. He half knelt on the deck. His expression was calm and sincere. However, his brows were trembling like he had lost his mind. Sun Yu sighed once more. It was already good that Lord did not break down in such a situation. He looked back and found that most of the remaining soldiers, even if they had survived for the time being, had ashen faces. There was still a bit of confusion in his eyes. It was as if he had no idea what had happened to suddenly become like this. Sun Yu's eyes gradually turned blank. He looked at the surging sea of fire around him and closed his eyes, powerless to reverse the situation. These 4 words oppressed all the officers and soldiers, making it hard for them to breathe. At this moment, Cao Cao felt a sense of tranquility that he had never felt before after reciting the great Tao summoning of the gods. There were no longer any external disturbances to his mind. At the critical juncture of life and death, Cao Cao only had the ancestor god in his mind, unity of will and spirit. Because of that, a person of his status could generate the power of faith. In an instant, Cao Cao seemed to have seen an infinitely mighty figure, emitting a supreme radiance. In his mind, it was as boundless as the stars in the universe. Boom! In the next moment, two beams of godly light descended from the sky. I understand your request. The majestic divine voice resounded in Cao Cao's mind. Cao Cao suddenly opened his eyes. At the same time, Sun Yu also opened his eyes and looked at the horizon with a blank expression. The first beam of godly light descended, and the boiling essence sun fire in the Red Cliff River was instantly extinguished. The fog dissipated, and it was like the dark clouds parted to reveal the moon. The entire world became clear. Cao Cao took a deep breath, and his body trembled. The essence sun fire had been extinguished. At the same time, the second beam of godly light descended. It landed on the entire Red Cliff. Cao Cao was stunned. Countless specks of light flashed around as if they were gathering something. In the blink of an eye, a soldier appeared in front of him. Shua, shua, shua. Countless soldiers appeared in front of him. The warships that were burned to ashes by the essence sun fire seemed to have returned to normal. The soldiers that were burned to ashes, hundreds of thousands of soldiers, had miraculously revived and appeared in front of Cao Cao. Prime Minister, what's going on? Sun Yu exclaimed in shock. What's going on? The remaining generals were also dumbfounded, as if they were in a dream. This is impossible. I must be dreaming. A general held his head, unable to believe the situation in front of him. This was too unbelievable. Not only them, but the Sun Lu army that was riding on the water was also stunned. In the distance on a warship, illusion. This is an illusion. A handsome man who held a feather fan and wore a silk scarf suddenly took a deep breath and muttered, Brother Zhuge, this is not an illusion. I can sense their life force. Beside the man, a handsome man with a sword at his waist said slowly, They really came back to life. Under the essence sun fire, everything will turn to ashes. How can they come back to life? This is not logical. Resurrecting the dead is impossible. Zhuge Liang closed his eyes and was silent for a long time. He looked at Zhou Yu and seemed to understand something. The descent of the godly palm is also not logical. Zhou Yu whispered, That is the will and power of the high god. But even the high god can't revive so many soldiers in an instant. Even the warships are in perfect condition. Restoring them is much harder than destroying them. We paid such a huge price. Zhou Yu looked at the sky with a complicated gaze. In the sky where the two beams of divine light landed, there was an eternal shadow of light that was flickering in and out of existence. I didn't expect Cao Cao to have the aura of a high god. Zhuge Liang sighed. To such a high god, we are just ants. Laughable, lamentable. Zhou Yu also sighed. They had lost this battle, but the price they paid was too high. A few days ago, he and Zhuge Liang decided to work together to defeat Cao Cao's army at Red Cliff. However, after thinking about it and comparing the strength of both sides, they realized that they had no chance of winning. At this time, a mysterious being who called himself a high god said that he had a way to help them defeat Cao Cao's army. The condition was that they had to sacrifice some life to serve the high god. At the same time, they had to establish a sect of the high god to worship him. At first, the two did not believe it. However, this high god had the power to reach the heavens. With just a raise of his hand, he could easily overturn the entire Red Cliff River. After everything was confirmed, the godly palm descended and defeated Cao Cao's army. However, on the other side, Cao Cao looked at the sky excitedly. The ancestor god is awesome. From the moment he summoned the ancestor god, Cao Cao was wondering how the ancestor god would act. At the very least, he would be able to survive, right? Or maybe he would just destroy the Sun Lu army. Chapter 1792. However, after Cao Cao watched the video from 10,000 years ago, he realized that the ancestor god would not interfere with the battle between believers. For example, 10,000 years ago, the ancestor god only changed the world and increased the strength of the great Qin Empire. However, he did not kill the demons with one palm. Cao Cao believed that the ancestor god had the strength to do so. However, the ancestor god did not do so. Therefore, Cao Cao thought that the ancestor god would not destroy the Sun-Lu alliance with one palm. Naturally, Cao Cao believed that the ancestor god would save him. It would be best if the ancestor god could bestow upon him a special power that would allow him to rise again. However, he did not expect the ancestor god to revive his hundreds of thousands of soldiers. Damn it, this is a miracle. We have the help of the gods. There is no way we can lose this battle. Officers and soldiers, kill them all. Cao Cao shouted excitedly. Using this opportunity, the hundreds of thousands of soldiers who had just been revived were still in a daze. Cao Cao's voice seemed to be strengthened by his eyes. It was louder than thunder and sounded like a drum. It made most of the revived soldiers' blood boil. At this moment, they had easily destroyed the Sun-Lu Alliance army in an unstoppable manner. They did not even have the ability to resist. There was no other way. The revival of hundreds of thousands of soldiers was too much of a blow to their morale. The alliance did not even have the will to fight. Until the setting sun was like blood, Cao Cao looked forward with a face full of blood. Is this the power of the ancestor god? Cao Cao muttered. At this moment, he could feel why 10,000 years ago was so excited. With a wave of his hand, the entire world changed. Cao Cao had experienced 10,000 years ago's world from a first-person perspective. He could say without hesitation that there was a big difference. However, he did not expect the ancestor god to revive hundreds of thousands of soldiers so easily. How powerful was the ancestor god? Cao Cao suddenly quivered. Just thinking about it made him feel terrified. Such great kindness. Cao Cao closed his eyes and rested for a moment. I don't know how to repay him. Just establishing a religion is far from enough. 10,000 years ago, used demon blood as a sacrifice. Do I have to use blood as a sacrifice too? Cao Cao thought for a long time. He felt that it was too tacky to just use blood as a sacrifice. Moreover, 10,000 years ago had already used blood as a sacrifice. I wonder if the ancestral god has any other hobbies. Cao Cao felt that the gods were too powerful and it was difficult to guess. Even after racking his brain for a long time, he was still unable to come up with anything. However, Cao Cao was not in a hurry. The offerings only represented sincerity. To the ancestor god, the offerings might eventually be returned to him. Cao Cao had been envious of brother 10,000 years dragon robe ever since he saw it. We'll talk about it when the time comes, my lord. Once I win this battle, the entire land of River East will be in my hands. The world is just around the corner. Sun Yu said in a tired yet excited manner. Cao Cao smiled and waved his hand. Wenruo, calm down. My lord, just now. Sun Yu thought for a moment and still wanted to ask. God, Cao Cao said bluntly and slowly, true God. At that moment, I prayed to the true God to descend and help me, Cao Cao, overcome this crisis. God? Sun Yu's eyes gradually became clear, but his tone was somewhat incredulous. There are only true gods in this world? Of course I do. If I don't believe it, then I naturally don't. Cao Cao laughed loudly. But I believe it. That's why the true God has descended. From now on, I, Cao Cao, will believe in the name of the ancestor god. Ancestor god. Sun Yu murmured and his body trembled. It was as if he could feel a great existence staring at him from the distant void, causing him to involuntarily feel as if he was looking up at the vastness of the universe. Ancestral realm. Master, this Cao Cao's world seems to have been tainted by a god. Yin Mingyao said. As someone who had seen the whole scene, she naturally saw the origin of the giant palm that contained the sun's essence fire. It was impossible for the experts in Cao Cao's world to have done it. The universe of gods is currently in the universe hunt, Wang Feng said lightly. It's normal for these worlds to be tainted by some gods. However, looking at the power of that palm, this god's strength is ordinary. He's not even comparable to a fake god. He's about the same as the god who tainted the Do Chi continent. However, he can control the sun's essence fire at will. The opponent's god should be a god from the Sky Flame god system. The gods of the Sky Flame god system are all gods who play with fire. They have all kinds of powerful fire origins and several kinds of great Tao of will. It's not very powerful. Wang Feng naturally didn't care about the sun's essence fire. Moreover, the strength of this tainted god was limited. He might only be a little stronger than the demon god of the dark demon world. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been unable to control the power of that palm and be unable to destroy Cao Cao's army. As for resurrecting the hundreds of thousands of soldiers, the ability to resurrect life depended on the strength of the life in different worlds. The difficulty was actually different. However, no matter what was resurrected, in essence, it went against the universe's reincarnation will. However, the weaker the life, the more insignificant it was to the universe's reincarnation will. As long as one had enough godly power, one could resurrect life through a special origin. Universe-level life forms basically had the ability to resurrect others. However, this resurrection was limited. The most important thing was that the time of death of these soldiers was too short. Wang Feng didn't even use too much godly power to resurrect them. Compared to changing the river of time, resurrecting them was easier. If they had been dead for a long time and their souls were almost gone, it would take a little effort to resurrect them. Next, I just need to wait for the power of faith from Cao Cao's side. Wang Feng's side. The universe hunt in the God Systems universe gave him some opportunities. It sped up the process a little. Otherwise, an ambitious and ruthless person like Cao Cao, who is also one of the strongest in that world, would not be able to do anything. It would take a long time for him to generate the power of faith. Next, let's first establish the path of monster reincarnation. Wang Feng pondered for a moment. The human race was developing very fast because Yin Mingyao was watching the flow of time. However, accelerating the flow of time also required a lot of power of faith. Fortunately, Wang Feng still had a stable source of power of faith in this area. He could maintain the state of accelerating time in the ancestral realm. This kind of acceleration was relative to the entire universe. For the life forms in the ancestral realm, they couldn't feel the acceleration of time. In the system of the God Systems universe, whether it's the ancient system or the antecedent system, they can't be separated from the power of faith. They need it in all aspects. Wang Feng sighed with emotion. At the same time, in the chat group, people don't betray me. Ancestor God is awesome. Excited. JPG. As soon as the sentence came out, it immediately surprised the other members of the group. One had to know that Cao Cao had always been very steady and calm in the chat group. Even after watching the video of the Ancestor God's miracle, they were shocked. However, they didn't lose themselves in excitement like this. End of chapter. Chapter 1793. Fan Yi, what happened? Brother Cao, you were lurking just now? Let me guess, have you lost to Huarong Dao? Yi Fan was the only one in the chat group who knew about Cao Cao's history. Although it was a parallel world of the three high martial kingdoms, Yi Fan felt that the history should be similar. However, just as he finished speaking, Yi Fan suddenly realized that something was wrong. Fan Yi. Wait, Ancestor God? Brother Cao, you can't be. Yangon Pawn. Huarong Dao? What's that place? Is it related to the Ancestor God? 2. She Ancient Emperor Jade. Brother under heaven, the Ancestor God also descended to your world? Did something happen? Curious. JPG. Borrow from heaven another 10,000 years. You are so excited. Could it be that you encountered the same thing as me? Yangon Pawn. Brother, hurry up and tell us. Don't run out of breath after shouting one sentence. It's not good to keep people in suspense like this. You have to learn from 2. She Ancient Emperor Jade. Tell us everything about the Ancestor God. Cao Cao's sentence was really good at keeping people in suspense. However, he didn't continue. This made the people in the chat group laugh, and scold him. Fan Yi, to be able to make you lose your composure like this. TSK, I really don't know what happened. But based on my conjecture, this must be related to the Battle of Red Cliff, right? 2. She Ancient Emperor Jade. Fan Yi, what Battle of Red Cliff? Is it related to Brother Under Heaven? Fan Yi, do you know what happened? Fan Yi, I know a little. No one under heaven can't betray me and borrow from heaven another 10,000 years came from a similar world. However, because they are parallel universes, the world they are in is a little different from the history I am familiar with. Yangon Pawn, Fan Yi, tell me about it. What is the background of the Brother Chow you were talking about, Brother Under Heaven? Fan Yi, in short, the era Brother Chow is in is the last years of the Empire. It is the era where the three major powers are at their peak. Brother Chow was one of the most powerful forces among them. The Battle of Red Cliff is a crucial battle between him and the other two powers. If you win, old Brother Chow can basically unify the chaotic times of Dynasty's last years and realize his great cause. 2. She Ancient Emperor's Jade. I see. Fan Yi said, in my world of normal history, old Brother Chow was defeated. Another 10,000 years from heaven. But didn't their world change? The history that you are familiar with cannot be applied. Fan Yi said, that is indeed the case. Old Brother Chow and I have talked in private before. I have analyzed that the level of power in their world is very high, so much so that the cause of defeat in the Battle of Red Cliff that I am familiar with cannot be produced. Therefore, Brother Chow has a high chance of winning this war. Eternal Peace Pawn's Waiter. No wonder Big Brother Under Heaven's tone has always been very domineering. What a domineering name. Fan Yi said, from the looks of it, old Brother Chow should have won. But it doesn't seem that winning is that simple. It definitely has something to do with the Ancestor God. Based on my guess, something unexpected might have happened in that world. Brother Chow had no choice but to summon the Ancestor God to help him. According to the history that I know, Elder Brother Chow was going to be defeated and leave Huarong Dao. However, the world that Elder Brother Chow was in was too powerful. I'm afraid that there was no chance for him to leave. I reckon that the Ancestor God had descended and saved his life. With the Ancestor God's help, Elder Brother Chow should be able to make a comeback. Yi Fan analyzed according to his own train of thought and felt that it was most likely the case. Eternal Peace Pawn's Waiter. Since the Ancestor God has descended, why didn't Elder Brother Chow ask the Ancestor God to help him destroy the two major factions? Wouldn't that be better? 2. She Ancient Emperor's Jade. Waiter, your thinking is too simple. Think about it carefully. Every time the Ancestor God descends, he rarely changes the situation of our world. Otherwise, back then, old brother 10,000 years would have asked the Ancestor God to directly destroy those demons and devils. Why would he need to personally destroy those demons and devils? There's also my world. With the Ancestor God's strength, it would be easy for him to destroy the evil soul race. However, he did not do so. The Ancestor God would not casually interfere with the world of us believers. He would only give us a certain amount of help and hope that we can complete the mission that belongs to us. Borrowing another 10,000 years from heaven. That's right. That is indeed the case. The Ancestor God has the intention to nurture us. If our enemies and opponents are all easily killed by the Ancestor God, then what's the use of us? Moreover, letting the Ancestor God deal with our enemies and opponents is not in line with his identity. Not to mention the Ancestor God. Even I would not allow myself to do so. Eternal Peace Pawn's Waiter. So that's the case. I understand now. I was wondering why there was no effect when I chanted the Great Tao God summoning chapter. It turns out that I don't need the Ancestor God to descend. The Ancestor God would not casually help me either. Sigh, my dream of becoming the richest man is shattered just like that. I don't know how long it will take for me to become the richest man in Yuzhou on my own. Borrowing from the heavens another 10,000 years. Waiter, it's just the richest man. It's actually very easy to achieve. I can directly give you some antiques, and you will become the richest man. Do you believe me? I can even fulfill such a small wish. The ancestor god would probably not care about you. You have to set your sights further. Eternal peace pawns waiter. Speaking of which, where is Big Brother beneath the heavens? At this moment. Ding! World Can't Betray Me uploaded a video. Hearing this voice, everyone knew that the main character had arrived. World Can't Betray Me. The video has been uploaded. I will show you how powerful the ancestor god is. Proud. JPG. Although the descent of the ancestor god this time did not directly change the power and civilization of the entire world like it did in Brother 10,000 Years World. But it is definitely more shocking. Fanyi, Brother Chow, is it really so exaggerated? Didn't I just save your life? Earth. Yifan clicked on this video. He watched it with a light smile. Not long after, he was dumbfounded. At this moment, it was not only him. The others were also stunned. Eternal peace pawns waiter. Is this real? Directly reviving hundreds of thousands of people? Isn't this too terrifying? Can people be revived so casually? 2. She Ancient Emperor Jade. This is too exaggerated. Life and death can be reversed at will. As expected of the ancestor god, who can crush the sun with a single palm. Shivering. JPG. Borrowing from the heavens another 10,000 years. It is indeed exaggerated. The scene is too shocking. Also, the flames shouldn't be ordinary flames, right? 2. She Ancient Emperor Jade. Of course not. We have many special flames, but such a powerful flame can be ranked in the top 3 in our world. It should be a flame that originated from the sun. Otherwise, it would be impossible for it to burn so many powerful soldiers instantly. The most amazing thing is that this flame can cover the sky and the sun. It is very powerful, and the area it covers is too exaggerated. It is very difficult to achieve in our world. Even the most powerful emperor can't use such a large area and such a powerful flame. The video was very clear. They could see almost no mistakes or details. But because it was Cao Cao's first-person perspective, they could not see Cao Cao himself. They could only feel the changes in Cao Cao's heart through the changes at the end. World Can't Betray Me. That is the essence flame of the sun. 2. She Ancient Emperor Jade. As expected, is really related to the sun. Eternal peace pawns waiter. Sorry, why don't I feel that is very powerful? Look, the ancestor god descended with a divine light and directly extinguished all the flames. It is too close. It feels like a breath. Chapter 1794. Fanyi, haha. Little friend, we are both ordinary people. Of course, we can't feel it. This video is even more terrifying than our sci-fi movies. Old Brother Chow, I feel that the war on your side can even create planets. The Sun-Lu Alliance can actually control the flow of water. I feel that your warships are even bigger than our warships and aircraft carriers. I'm afraid their sturdiness won't be too far off. However, I didn't expect the ancestor god to directly revive your hundreds of thousands of soldiers. Although Yifan's tone was casual, he was sweating in his heart. This wasn't just 1 or 2 people. It was hundreds of thousands of soldiers. I wonder if the heavenly court saints in Yanhuang mythology could do it so easily? Yifan thought to himself. Moreover, these soldiers aren't ordinary people. They're very powerful. They cultivate martial arts and are generals that have surpassed the limits of humans. They can be revived even after being burned to ashes. This method is really unbelievable. This shouldn't be achieved with pure strength. I wonder what level the ancestor god is at. Yifan felt that it was really hard for him to imagine such a method. Even if he could crush a star with his bare hands and use the power of the stars in the world, he could still understand it. However, he had never seen such a method before. Just as everyone was discussing this matter, a voice suddenly rang out. An unfamiliar group ID suddenly sent a message. Ghostly, you guys are talking about that ancestor god. He can revive the dead? Everyone was stunned when they saw this message. People can't betray me. Oh, this is a newcomer? Seems like you don't know the ancestor god. Have you seen the video? If you have, don't ask this question. Ghostly, this name doesn't sound good. Seems like the newcomer has a lot of stories. Ghostly didn't send any more messages. It was as if the message was never sent. This made the other group members surprised. At this moment, Wang Feng was already preparing to build the second reincarnation. Cao Cao is really straightforward. He just finished the war, and he directly built my statue in Jiangdong. At this moment, Wang Feng was in the infernal core of the ancestral realm. He felt the majestic power of faith surge out of his body and enter the chaotic lotus. It immediately turned into a river of faith that was like a surging river. The conditions this time are much better than last time, Wang Feng sighed. Cao Cao's world was much stronger than Yingzheng's world. Their population was also far greater than Yingzheng's. After all, Yingzheng was on the verge of being wiped out by the fiendish demons. There weren't many people in the country. On the other hand, Cao Cao's influence was at its peak. Moreover, because the people on their side belonged to the world of middle and high-level forces, the life auras of the human race were relatively strong. The power of faith produced was mostly thick and rich. With the amplification of the primal chaos green lotus, naturally, the demonic beast Dao includes everything in the world. Mountains, rivers, grass, trees, and plants can all be cultivated into the demonic beast Dao. Even a drop of water or a wisp of flame can be cultivated into a demonic beast. Wang Feng pondered. With the reincarnation of the monster beasts, the ancestral realms heaven and earth will be illuminated, and to create the first batch of living beings on the path of demonic beasts. Then, naturally, therefore, a special supreme treasure was needed. Wang Feng's palm changed slightly, and the Pangu axe appeared in his hand. Change. Wang Feng's palm shook slightly. The Pangu axe flickered and immediately turned into an ancient bell. The Bell of Chaos. Countless living beings in the primordial world are engraved inside this Bell of Chaos. Wang Feng's eyes flickered. Apart from the human race, it includes all the demonic beast races in the primordial world. Among them, the most powerful race, apart from the dragon, phoenix, and qilin, is Dijun. His main body is a three-legged golden crow. From the perspective of the universe, a demonic beast at the level of the three-legged golden crow was equivalent to a star that had transformed and cultivated spiritually. In the universe, a star could give birth to self-consciousness. However, in the primordial world, there was no concept of a star. With the demon race as the source, it was the three-legged golden crow. I will create all the demon races in the primordial world. I will create those that don't. Wang Feng pondered for a moment. The demonic beast race was much more complicated than the human race. It was naturally much more difficult to create. First, it was the selection of the physical body. The characteristics of the race he created were naturally determined by him. The demonic beast race must be innately powerful. Their physical bodies are naturally stronger than the human race. Because everything in the world can become a demonic beast race, the demonic beasts that are born will definitely be strange. Wang Feng thought of this. The project is a little big. After thinking for a moment, Wang Feng decided to use the primordial origin to build a model of the patterns of the living beings in the primordial world. Then he directly imported the physical body and blood as raw materials. This way, the speed will be much faster. Wang Feng heaved a sigh of relief. Oh right, as the son of destiny of the Three Kingdoms world, Cao Cao's power of faith is extraordinary. I'll use it to create the three-legged golden crow of the original primordial world. Perhaps there will be some changes. Oh, as for the powerful demonic beasts like the dragon, phoenix, and qilin, and many other demonic beasts, they are not a problem. As for the physical body and blood materials, they were not so easy to find. The human race's physical body only used the ordinary living soil of the ancestral realm, which was the soil. If the first batch of demonic beast ancestors used the living soil, it would be too lousy. Wang Feng thought for a long time and decided to use the physical body genes of his subordinates to cultivate special demonic beast genes through the genetic technology on the shore of the Angel Nebula. Blood was the same. Wang Feng also used the blood of his subordinates as the source. The demon blood sacrificed by the miserable Ingzheng was enough. Now, every once in a while, Ingzheng would sacrifice the demon blood he killed as a ritual. Wang Feng naturally did not lack the demon blood. After the blood was strengthened by the chaos green lotus, it was indeed powerful enough. After mixing the two types, the blood was strong enough. Then he would inject the physical body genes and blood into the primordial origin. According to the primordial origins analysis of the countless demonic beasts in the primordial world, the model established could quickly produce batches of extremely powerful Hotian demonic beasts. With a body and blood that far surpasses that of humans, their physical body's growth potential is already very special, and the ability to change is extremely strong. But in terms of souls, they have to rely on themselves to awaken. That batch of soul energy purified by the void life will be used on other races in the future. It gave the demonic beast such powerful strength. Wang Feng naturally needed to keep a part of it. It will definitely take a lot of time to awaken their souls. Wang Feng gently raised his hand. In the infernal world, behind the sea of bitterness, on the other side of the human Dao reincarnation gate, an equally magnificent gate of reincarnation was slowly built by gathering the endless power of faith. Go! Wang Feng placed the primordial origin in the demonic beast gate of reincarnation. Streaks of light, accompanied by the huge model of the primordial origin, entered the gate of reincarnation and fell into the vast land of the ancestral realm. They turned into the bodies of sleeping demonic beasts. In the endless years of the ancestral realm, they absorbed the essence of heaven and earth and slowly awakened their consciousness. Chapter 1795. Ancestral Realm. Bibi Dong was wearing a long black dress. She looked like a goddess of the night as she walked through this world. I went to Xiao Shui's place for so long without any news. Now that I'm back, I'm hiding here, Bibi Dong muttered. I wonder what you and Yin Qingjue are up to. Ever since Wang Feng followed Qianrenxue to the other universe, she had been waiting in the Douluo world, because there was a channel between the mainframe and the Douluo world. Back then, when they fought against Mo Tiance, Wang Feng's soul was still in the Dark Demon Realm soul domain. She brought the soul beasts and people close to Wang Feng and placed them in the ancestral realm. After defeating Mo Tiance's clone, Wang Feng went to the extreme north to understand what happened with the Snow Empress. Bibi Dong had been waiting in the ancestral realm. After Wang Feng followed Qianrenxue to the other universe, she made a trip back to the Dark Demon Realm. Since you're back from Xiao Shui's place, your third clone's body of faith should have been condensed, right? Bibi Dong looked at the sky of the ancestral realm. After a long time, she felt a unique life aura in this world. Seems like you've been in the ancestral realm all this time. Bibidon's tone was a little quiet. Those two little Beastris cheese in the god realm missed you so much. But you didn't even say anything when you came back. With that, Bibi Dong walked in this new world unhurriedly. She felt the uniqueness of this world. Not long later, she sensed the source of the life aura. After concealing her aura and body, Bibi Dong planned to observe. It's the aura of a human. Seems like you've created the first batch of humans. Bibi Dong thought for a while and snorted. Let's see what the humans you've created are capable of. With that, Bibi Dong turned into a black fog and spread forward. With her current strength, she had another eternal god slayer and several origins. Other than the Rakshasa origin when she entered the god realm, she also obtained several origins in the Dark Demon realm. She was only one step away from becoming a universe life. The only thing she was lacking was the universe's will. Unfortunately, the will of the universe could only be encountered by chance. Through the black fog, Bibi Dong saw the group of humans. In the distant forest, the leader was indeed a man wearing thick clothes woven from beast skins and huge fan-shaped leaves. They were very ordinary clothes. It was just like the primordial era of Douluo. Bibi Dong shook his head. He didn't know how long these humans had been in the ancestral realm. Their civilization was too backward. He doesn't seem to be very strong. Bibi Dong frowned slightly. There were about 10 humans in the distance. Although the level of civilization was not high, they should be in some kind of hunting mode at this time. However, Bibidon could sense that these 10 people seemed to contain powerful life auras, which meant that they had great potential. From the perspective of a normal human's physique, their physical strength alone should be comparable to a titled Douluo of the Douluo world. However, such strength was far from enough in the ancestral realm. Not only was it far from enough in the ancestral realm, but it was also far from enough in the godly system universe. It's nothing much. Bibidon was about to withdraw his gaze. At this moment, a very devout man walked out of the 10 people. He seemed to be chanting something. Then, he waved the wooden staff in his hand. The wooden staff was carved with very special patterns, and the top was covered with the head of an unknown beast. Accompanied by the man's chanting, streaks of faint blood-red light rose from their bodies. It was as if some kind of shackle had been unlocked. The 10 people's bodies began to expand, and their auras rapidly increased. Bibidon was shocked and continued to watch. It was almost in less than 10 breaths' time. These 10 people's bodies had increased by at least 10 times. They looked like giants. The tallest among them was the one who cast the spell, which was close to 100 meters tall. This is not an ordinary human? Bibidon was slightly stunned. Or perhaps this was their true body? He could clearly feel that these 10 people had surpassed the strongest person in the Luo continent. In the Douluo divine world, they had at least reached the strength of a rank 3 god. However, these humans had not comprehended the origin. It was just that the aura of their bodies had already reached this level. How do these humans cultivate? Bibidon was a little curious. She didn't know how Wang Wu was tinkering with this ancestral realm. She followed his gaze. The 10 people whose bodies had suddenly increased in size began to walk towards a huge mountain in front of them. That huge mountain was tens of thousands of meters tall. The 10 people worked together and climbed to the center of the huge mountain in a few steps. Then with their fists, they directly pierced through the huge mountain from the center. The moment they pierced through, the entire mountain began to collapse. A low roar came from the depths of the mountain. Immediately after, a giant beast that was at least 10,000 meters in size, like an ancient life that had just woken up from its slumber, let out a long roar from the bottom of the mountain. Roar! Bibidon's heart trembled slightly. The aura of this giant beast seemed to be very powerful. Just from this aura, Bibidon could determine that the strength of this giant beast was comparable to a rank 1 god in the Douluo divine world. The demon master of the dark demon world was too much. Could it be that this was also created by Wang Wu, or is this an innate life form that was born in the ancestral realm itself? I remember that the ancestral realm didn't seem to have an innate life form. That Yin Mingyao said that the ancestral realm didn't have a reincarnation cycle. When it was just created, the ancestral realm wasn't very strong, so it didn't give birth to an innate life form. Bibidon looked carefully. The giant beast at the bottom of the mountain roared, as if it had just woken up from an endless period of time. The earth shook and the sky shook. The entire mountain collapsed in an instant. The 10 giants didn't seem to have expected this. Each of the giants held a piece of sparkling stone in their hands. It directly leaped up from the collapsed mountain. Bibidon saw the appearance of that giant beast. It was a giant beast with a lion's head, deer's horns, elk's body, dragon's scales, and an ox's tail. Its entire body flickered with colorful lights, and it was extraordinary. Its aura is still strengthening. It's already very difficult to judge by the strength system of the dark demon world. Bibidon looked at that giant beast. In terms of appearance, this giant beast didn't look ferocious. Its eyes seemed to have some divine power, and it could even sense where he was. Those eyes seemed to be able to see through all illusions. But what surprised Bibidon was that although it had such an appearance, other than the divine power in its eyes, there was a hint of confusion. It was like a newborn baby. Did this giant beast just wake up? Bibidon said in surprise. At this time, the 10 giants began to point at the giant beast, as if they were intimidated by this beast's uniqueness. Urgently, one of the giants handed over the sparkling stone in his arms and threw it to the giant beast. The giant beast swept its tail and caught the stone, then swallowed it into its stomach. Chapter 1796. A moment later, the giant beast spat out a raindrop-like light that hit the giant who threw the stone. It turned into a totem that was imprinted between the giant's eyebrows. Then, the giant beast roared again and flew toward the sky. It seemed to be calling for something, but also seemed to be sending a signal of its birth to the ancestral realm. BB Dawn was speechless for a long time after witnessing this scene. That giant beast is called a Qilin. In the ancient civilization, it symbolized auspiciousness and was the symbol of luck. It also had this great power. A familiar voice sounded in his ears. BB Dong turned around and saw that Wang Feng had unknowingly appeared beside him. BB Dawn turned his head and said, "You created it." Of course, a Qilin is a kind of monster beast. Wang Feng smiled and said, "I just established the monster reincarnation and created the first batch of monsters. However, these monsters didn't have suitable soul power and could only rely on themselves to awaken. Those humans just now wanted to obtain the stone mine in this mountain and didn't want to alarm this ancient, auspicious beast. They don't look like much," BB Dawn said with a cold face. "What about those humans? They don't look like normal humans. They're a branch of the human race." Wang Feng said slowly, "The human reincarnation has been established for some time. After many years of development, there are many branches of the human race. The branch just now is called the Qi human race. Hundreds of years had passed since Wang Feng established the human reincarnation in the ancestral realm. Of course, there was still a long way to go before it covered the entire ancestral realm. Because after Wang Feng's body of faith was established, the power of faith continued to gather, causing the ancestral realm to continuously expand. At present, the total number of humans had grown to 1 million. The human race's reproduction speed was too fast, and under the leadership of the first human emperor, human civilization bloomed like 100 flowers. It had to be said that Wang Feng thought it was the best choice to use the power of faith produced by Ying Zheng, the chosen one, to create this soul. Later, he used the power of faith produced by Xiao Yin and Xiao Sun to enlighten 2 special humans. He used it to assist the human emperor. Otherwise, the development of human civilization would be extremely slow. It was hard to imagine how low the probability was for the humankind to give birth to a special leader with the aptitude of the human emperor. Qi human tribe? BB Dawn turned to look at Wang Feng out of curiosity. Yes. Wang Feng gently pulled open the void. Scenes appeared in front of Bibidan's eyes. This is the history of the development of the human race in the ancestral realm. The Qi human race was first born from 2 humans who swallowed a special fruit. This led to the birth of a small giant that possessed extremely unique giant genes. It was able to enhance its form in battle and greatly increase its combat prowess. Later on, this gene was passed down and formed the Qi human race. Among the current human race, the Qi human race's combat strength is extremely high, and they have an innate advantage in terms of expanding their territory. He's one of the best human warriors. BB Dawn nodded and pondered for a few seconds. I didn't expect the human race to be so powerful. It had indeed subverted her understanding of the human race. These humans could develop to such an extent with only a few hundred years of civilization. It was hard to imagine the future for their combat prowess to reach such a high level. Wang Feng coughed a few times and said, "There are even more powerful human warriors, but you haven't seen them yet." "More powerful?" Wang Feng smiled and said, "That's right. Among the human race, the most powerful warriors now are not the Qi human race. Instead, they're the special human race bestowed by God. These humans are even more powerful than the Qi human race, and they have a very powerful special power, the power of God. Different God-bestowed powers can bring about different changes to them." "The power of God?" BB Dawn thought for a while before coming to a realization. "Is it the power that you personally bestowed?" BB Dawn glanced at Wang Feng from the corner of her eyes and seemed to be amused. You really know how to flatter yourself? Wang Feng smiled. This was not flattery. These humans were all created by him. They belonged to him, and they were the most orthodox clan race. Ever since the human emperor held a sacrifice, Wang Feng had thought that he had to give these humans some more power. Therefore, every time they held a sacrifice, Wang Feng would choose a few with potential and bestow his power to them. Because the human race had developed a lot, their abilities were very different, and the power bestowed was also very different. Now, as demonic beasts began to appear in the ancestral realm, the human race was still much weaker than the demonic beasts. Take the Qilin who had just woken up as an example. Each of those 10 Qi men was an extremely valiant warrior among the entire human race. But in front of that Qilin, they were too weak. If it wasn't for one of the Qi human race who saw that the Qilin was not a ferocious demonic beast and offered a stone mine that he had dug out as a friendly greeting, the Qilin would have died. Now, it probably didn't exist anymore. It seems that the ancestral realm is developing well. Bibidon said faintly. Of course. Wang Feng's eyes lit up and flashed with brilliant divine light. As long as the 9 paths of reincarnation is established, the ancestral realm will definitely be strong to a peak. When that time comes, I just need to continuously inject the power of faith into the ancestral realm, and the ancestral realm will continue to be strong and give birth to more powerful warriors. On the day of the Battle of the Gods, I believe that the entire God system universe will be overturned. Wang Feng's tone was heroic. This was indeed his goal, using the lives that he had personally created to defeat the gods of the God system universe, who had cultivated their clans through conquering many parallel universes. He was using the most ancient method of the God system universe to clash with the system of the modern God system universe. He even added his own changes. Then, are we useless? BB Dawn said faintly. Wang Feng. Of course not. Wang Feng hurriedly said, the flow of time is different. Not much time has passed in the dark demon world and Douluo divine world. Not much time has passed. BB Dawn looked at Wang Feng with a smile that didn't look like a smile. I recently went to the extreme north and met the Snow Empress. And that child. Child? Wang Feng was slightly stunned. Little Ice Lotus, why? Don't you remember? The Snow Empress used her own origin to create a little Ice Lotus. You gave her intelligence. Isn't this child the child of you and the Snow Empress? BB Dawn said. Of course I remember. What's wrong? Wang Feng didn't seem to realize the seriousness of the matter. He looked at BB Dawn in confusion. Speaking of which, Wang Feng missed that child a little. It seemed that he had to take some time to take a look. He would use his clone to take a look. Anyway, it wouldn't affect the development of the ancestral realm here. This was the benefit of cultivating the one spirit into 3 pure ones. The ancestral realm had the body of faith. His clone could do other things. Child. BB Dong slowly spat out these 2 words. Chapter 1797. Hearing the word child, Wang Feng scolded himself for being slow. In a trance, the memories in Wang Feng's mind suddenly stopped flowing like a torrent of water. Then he started to think back. How long has it been? How many years has it been? If it was a normal human, he would have lost count. BB Don snorted. Looking at the silent Wang Feng, he probably understood that this guy was reflecting on himself. Then let's make 1 2. Wang Feng regained his senses and looked at BB Don. BB Don turned and said, if it's like the Snow Empress, you can take back your words. Wang Feng coughed and said, of course not. But with our current strength, if you have a child, it will involve a lot of karmic power. Compared to before, you might be in danger. Some situations might be unforeseen by me. The continuation of life was an eternal topic. In essence, it was inheritance. Even a universe-level life form would pass on its own life and will of the universe. But most universe-level life forms had already surpassed low-level life forms. If they chose to extend their lives, there would be many methods. At the same time, to protect the lives of their descendants, they would choose the safest and most reliable method. You're still afraid of this? BB Don asked. Wang Feng nodded slightly. Just like when I faced Emotians back then. I thought that if I were to encounter such a situation again, I would die without any trump cards. But I've implicated all of you. Wang Fengxin sighed with emotion. Back in the Douluo world, he was still young. He thought that finding a few wives and doing everything as he wished was just SOSO. After all, as a powerful being, it was not strange to have a confidant. But the stronger he was, the more he understood that the more confidence he had, the greater the responsibility. Wang Feng shook his head. If you knew this would happen, why did you do it back then? BB Don snorted. Count yourself. How many do you have? You're developing in the ancestral realm now and can't leave. You'll get stronger and stronger. But what about them? The gap between you and them will get bigger and bigger. How are you going to deal with them? Now that we're facing a God system universe, an entire universe, Bibidon's voice was low. Wang Feng was silent. I didn't come here just to tell you that I want you to leave in child. BB Dong sighed. It doesn't matter whether they're gods, humans, or soul beasts, but if you're dead, they won't be of much use to you. But emotions are sincere, they are alive. Your steps are getting bigger and bigger, and even little snow can't keep up with you. In the future, this gap will only get bigger. One day, if they die, you might still be alive. Although they're gods, they won't be able to pass the origin wheel cataclysm. Being able to live eternally in the God realm doesn't mean that they can live eternally in the universe. You should understand such a simple rule better than I do. I'm afraid that even the heavenly Tao of the God realm and Yin Xingjue of the Dark Devil realm won't be able to overcome it. When BB Don said this, there was a hint of sadness in his voice. Wang Feng looked at the sky of the ancestral realm. This was a very realistic question. Immortality was only relative. He had thought about this problem before, but he couldn't find a solution. This was because none of his close female friends could become a universe-level life form. Qianrenxue was the one with the most potential. But it was only Qianrenxue. BB Don hugged Wang Feng gently. The hug was like water mixing, calm and clear. Wang Wu, don't be bound by them, and don't restrain them, unless you have the ability to help them all become universe-level life forms. BB Don said softly. What are you trying to say? Wang Feng suddenly asked. That Crimson God Fox Emperor came to Dark Demon Sector and talked to me. She wants to take us away. BB Don said softly. She said she has a way to make us all become universe-level life forms. Wang Feng frowned slightly. Crimson God Fox Emperor had helped him a lot before. But Wang Feng still remembered how Crimson God Fox Emperor erased part of his clone's memory for him and Hulaina. Now she wants to take them away. Wang Feng couldn't help but think deeply about this. What else did she say? Wang Feng asked. What else? Just these? BB Don shook her head. You may suspect she has other intentions, but if she really has a way, what can she do? Wang Feng said indifferently. Her own universe is incomplete. Even though she's a universe-level life form, she can't possibly have a way to make you all become universe-level life forms. Crimson God Fox Emperor's incomplete universe will. Wang Feng had always remembered it in his heart. Back then in Dark Demon Sector's spirit domain, the Crimson God Fox Emperor had mentioned it. It was because Crimson God Fox Emperor's universe was incomplete that the Crimson God Fox race was born with a will curse. Wang Feng didn't believe that Crimson God Fox Emperor had a way. So you don't agree? BB Don asked. Wang Feng was silent for a while. If you all really want to leave, I won't restrict you. Then leave a child for me first. BB Don said softly. Dark Demon Sector, Yan Qingju and Crimson God Fox Emperor sat facing each other. Tell me, with Wang Feng's temperament, will he allow me to bring his close female friends along? Crimson God Fox Emperor said indifferently in the void. Should be. Yan Qingju thought for a while. No, more accurately, it's his women who will take the initiative to leave. Wang Feng's foresight isn't bad. His women are all very important. If they knew that they would drag Wang Feng down, they would definitely take the initiative to leave. Not to mention, if they could become universe-level life forms, they would be able to help Wang Feng. Otherwise, they wouldn't drag him down. Even that cute and lovable Ning Rongrong was moved. You can imagine. Crimson God Fox Emperor laughed. I'm doing this to give him a way out. Crimson God Fox Emperor said slowly. That girl Nana is very concerned about this fellow. Even if she can't meet him, now that she knows that he is going to participate in the God War with the God System Universe's God System, and that the conflict is getting worse, she must be very anxious. Now in the God System Universe, he has already offended several God Systems. Other than the false God from Dongwon God System, there's also a heavenly God from Crow God System, the other false God from Skyflame God System, and so on. I don't know how many more gods this fellow will offend. Moreover, to be honest, with the power of faith provided by the world you're looking for, it's impossible to develop the ancestral realm. Crimson God Fox Emperor shook his head and said, but the ancestral realm is developing quite well. Yin Qingju thought for a while. She had been helping Wang Feng find members in the chat group. She could only learn about the development of the ancestral realm from Yin Mingyao. She wasn't sure about the details. Chapter 1798. Good. The Crimson Divine Fox Emperor laughed. Is it so easy to develop a divine realm? To be honest, his idea is not bad. I'm quite surprised. But unfortunately, the time is too short. Furthermore, with his character, he might not leave a god power imprint in the souls of those people. This means that it will be difficult for him to develop his clan tribes. 1/5 of the 100 days have passed. I have received news that the false god from the Divine System Universe, which is his opponent, the Enlightenment God from the Dongwon Divine System, should have broken through to the Heavenly God Realm. Speaking of this, Yin Qingjue's eyes narrowed slightly. However, it is because of this divine battle that he did not break through. Because after breaking through, it will be a battle between the heavenly gods of the Divine System Universe and the native heavenly gods. Hence, this Enlightenment God is currently accumulating his strength. They have millions or even tens of millions of spawn in their God realm. In 100 days, Wang Feng did not use a God power imprint. He only relied on the power of faith from those worlds. How could he develop? The Crimson Divine Fox Emperor paused. Yin Qingjue fell into deep thought. Actually, the Crimson Divine Fox Emperor's words made sense. Yin Qingjue was also somewhat doubtful. Hence, in order to leave a way out for him, it is impossible not to take his women away, said the Crimson Divine Fox Emperor. Good excuse, said Yin Qingjue. I think you should have more confidence in him. The Crimson Divine Fox Emperor glared at her. You don't understand. At our level, there is no such thing as confidence. Furthermore, what about her? Yin Qingjue was slightly stunned. In the Soul Society, if I remember correctly, Wang Feng seems to have offended her before, right? It is not considered offending, but they have crossed swords. Yin Qingjue fell silent. To her, that is offending. That person is not to be trifled with. Compared to the divine battle, that little princess from the Divine System Universe has a powerful background and a strange personality. Nothing good will come out of offending her. The Crimson Divine Fox Emperor laughed softly. Don't forget that the palace in your reincarnation well was created by her. For a life form of that level, just a little bit of her is enough. She can easily destroy your world with just this little bit of interest. Fortunately, your reincarnation well is unlocked. The Douluo divine world also has a calamity origin, and this calamity origin isn't simple. The origin tribulation broke open the palace in the reincarnation sea of the Douluo divine world and released the reincarnation shackles of the Douluo divine world. She already knew about it. If she knew that Wang Feng had a close relationship with Tribulation Origin God King, who knows what kind of unpredictable situation would occur. Fortunately, Wang Feng hasn't obtained the complete universe will of Calamity Source Godly King. She can't sense anything now. All right, stop talking. Yin Qingju immediately stopped the Crimson Divine Fox Emperor's persuasion. It's not like I can leave with you. It's impossible for you to leave with me. After all, You and his soul have already cultivated the yin-yang intersection origin. Separating will affect him greatly. I'm telling you this because I want you to go to Shiyu and ask her to hand over the silver dragon to me. The silver dragon has extraordinary potential, and I have high hopes for its future. However, I have no relationship with Shiyu of the Douluo divine realm, and I don't want to force her with my power. You have a good relationship with her, so I'll leave it to you. Yin Qingju's face darkened. To put it bluntly, wasn't she just the confidant of that guy who wanted to kidnap Wang Feng? I'll try. Yin Qingju thought for a moment. If I really take them all away, when Wang Feng realizes he doesn't have the mood for that now. Crimson Divine, Fox Emperor said, the War of the Gods is something he should focus on. Douluo Divine Realm. Take the silver dragon away? She looked at Yin Qingju. What do you mean? Don't you know the relationship between the silver dragon and Wang Feng? Do you think Wang Feng will agree to take her away? You can persuade the silver dragon. You are the heavenly Tao of the divine realm, and you are soul mates with Wang Feng. Yin Qingju said. So you're not? She wanted to reject. Go and say it yourself. I don't care about that. Then you have to think about the future, right? Yin Qingju thought for a moment. The divine realm has investigated Wang Feng thoroughly. He has offended many divine realms, and who knows if the divine realm will do something to him. As the main character of the War of the Gods, the divine realm won't touch Wang Feng. But his female friends are very important to Wang Feng. If something happens to them, do you think Wang Feng has a chance of winning the War of the Gods? Shiyu frowned. Shiyu frowned. She was probably surprised by this. Would a divine system universe do such a thing? There are many divine realms in the divine realm. Yin Qingju said. Do you think all the divine realms are fair? Crimson Divine Fox Emperor told me that there is a divine realm in the divine realm that is very special. It is called the Shadow Destruction Divine Realm, and the gods there are very cunning and sinister. They are notorious in the divine realm. This god of the Shadow Destruction Divine Realm roams the borders of the divine realm. What they like the most is to secretly use all kinds of methods that even divine realm can't detect to destroy the gods of other divine realms. Or they can directly destroy the divine realm. They can destroy the god source of faith and divine realm. If this god of the Shadow Destruction Divine Realm attacks Wang Feng, he will definitely target Wang Feng's female friends. Shiyu listened with a serious expression. Okay, I will try. Wang Feng smelled the lingering fragrance on his fingertips and sighed. Bibidon is gone. It was actually very easy for a god to have a child. There was no saying that the higher the level of life, the harder it was to have a child, especially in some immortal cultivation worlds. After all, they could create life as they wished. How could they prevent their women from having a child? Bibidon is gone. She should have taken Rongrong, Zhu Qing, and Snow Empress with her. Wang Feng thought for a moment. Who else? Oh right, the silver dragon shouldn't have been taken away. Wang Feng was naturally melancholic at the thought of his female friends leaving. Fortunately, there was still the silver dragon. I should find some time to visit her. Wang Feng thought for a moment. The silver dragon and Bibidon aren't close. They probably won't leave with them. Wang Feng heaved a sigh of relief. If even the silver dragon left, then only the Qianren Shue was left. Master, there seems to be someone in the chat group echoing you. At this moment, Yin Mengyao, who seemed to be the CEO's secretary, sent a voice transmission. Who? That kid Yi Fan or Jing Tian? Wang Feng asked. In the chat group, only these two people hadn't prayed to that scripture. It wasn't that there weren't any praying, but that they weren't praying enough. Neither. It's that newcomer called Ghostly. Wang Feng was stunned when he heard that. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.